We'll get started in a second. We're just collecting all the paperwork for everybody that wants to talk. All right, it's after 5:30. We'll go ahead and get started. Have a roll call.
Mindy Payne. Here. Jonathan Townsend.
Here.
Jaylee Klimpa. Here. Jason Cohen.
Here.
Robert Goranson.
Here. First item on the agenda is item number 3, old business. We have none. We have a consent agenda, item number 4. Staff have any of you wish to pull from the consent agenda?
We do not.
Planning Commission have any? I'd like to pull item 4D for discussion. I got a question about that. Ready for a motion?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion for approval of items 4A, B, C, E, F, and G, pulling 4D from the consent agenda.
I'll second the motion.
Have a motion and second. Have a roll call vote.
Mindy Payne. Yes. Jonathan Townsend.
Yes.
Jaylee Klimpa.
Yes.
Jason Cohen.
Yes.
Robert Goranson.
Yes. Now, item 4E that was on consent agenda, that will go before the City Council on July 15th, and that'll be in this room at 6:30. Staff want to cover 4D?
Yes. Item 4D is a preliminary plat for 3 Oaks, which is approximately 13.94 acres, proposed to be 45 lots, zoned RS4 to PUD 1503-2024. Property is located approximately 1/8 mile north of Washington Street and 1/4 mile east of 23rd Street. This item was before you as a public hearing, I believe, at the last meeting. This item is conditioned for approval upon the PUD and rezoning being approved by City Council. So that has not gone to City Council yet, so that is a condition of this preliminary plat.
Okay, sounds good. All right, there was 2 checklists on here, just in case anybody saw it on the internet. That I guess checklist 1 out of 2. The first one doesn't count, so it doesn't apply to this item on the agenda. But I did want to bring up the three Oaks preliminary plat. I was just curious, and maybe staff or the applicant. I saw the applicant here. Maybe he wants to come out and present this. But we have a stub street that's going into the subdivision on the west end, and I was curious of why we actually need that.
So it's not actually needed. It's probably to facilitate additional lots. So there will have to be, through the engineering process, an application come forward to modify the subdivision regulations so that stub street right-of-way doesn't have to be connected to the property line. There's no stub street from the existing neighborhood for it to connect to. But I think if the applicant's here and wants to speak to the purpose of the stub street, I'll let them do that. But it's my understanding.
Is the applicant present? You have anything you wish to add?
I don't think so. No, because I'm on 6. Oh, you just took. Oh, yeah, those are done. Yes, sir. These are done.
The concern I have is there's a housing addition right beside it, and it backs up. If the stub street's going to go right up to their backyard, so I'm just curious to make sure whether we need it or not.
Thank you, members of the commission. I'm Ricky Jones, 6215 West Orlando Street in Broken Arrow, and Amanda's right. It's not really a stub street other than it's a elaborate driveway. There is no connection on, but if we didn't provide that street there, then that first lot would not have street frontage.
Right.
So it's simply there to facilitate for those 2 lots, really.
And that's what I thought. That's why I read the covenants, such a frontage you had to have for the street for each dwelling unit. So would you not consider like putting a pie lot or a pie-shaped lot in there?
Well, we couldn't get the radius in there for the cul-de-sac to try and do it that way, so we thought this was the best way to design it.
Okay. It's also in the covenants, I think you have no parking on the streets, if I read it right. So it wouldn't be for parking, it would just facilitate the drives to get to the house
That's
itself,
correct.
so. Okay. So is this gonna be something new that we're gonna start doing, or hopefully not, I guess?
This is the first, this PUD, if you remember from our last discussion, it's actually a PUD to meet the proposed new zoning ordinance. So it is one of the first of its kind. So still got some details to work through, but this is the first project that really meets those criteria.
And it is preliminary plat, so.
Yes.
Commissioner, any other questions, anything discussion?
Well, I'll just kind of make a statement. There's a neighborhood behind my neighborhood that has several stub streets that just back up to somebody's fence. And they just tend to get a lot of garbage collection and stuff like that over time. I'm just not a fan of how that looks in a neighborhood for it just a dead end to somebody's privacy fence. So that's just my opinion.
I'd have to agree with you. Like motorhomes, everything gets parked there, and it just doesn't look good. So,
If I might, I don't think it's prohibited in the subdivision regulations. So it's not something that we can't do. Again, it's simply to provide access for those two lots on the north side.
Yeah, and I will say there is is it 50 or 30-foot landscape buffer between the proposed and the
There's a
existing neighborhood?
50-foot, so it doesn't go actually up to the property line of the abutting subdivision. If you zoom in, you can see we have a 50-foot landscape buffer that's going to be passive recreation. We'll probably have a walking trail there. So actually, the stub street will go into that 50-foot, there it is, the 50-foot green belt. So actually, it'll provide an access into that walking trail that will be.
But
back
it's gonna be built to city standards of the street, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So are you gonna put anything at the end, Mr. Jones, to actually discourage anybody driving to it? Is it gonna be curved at the end, or is it you gonna have a type 2 barrier or anything like that?
That will be up to
Landscaping?
engineering. Typically, they require some kind of a barrier to keep people from driving back there, yes.
Okay. I guess you could
No.
have a walkway going into there since it's gonna be a
Yeah,
50-foot
we'll-
buffer in there.
We'll address that during the engineering review, which if this plat's approved, we'll go forward with the engineering review.
I guess if there's a way to make it not look like a stub street, if that makes sense, that'd be good.
I would agree. If that looks like something like maybe you had a couple bollards there with a handicap access ramp to the walking trail, or
do
a
that.
place where, you know, the neighborhood kids could ride their bike there and hit that trail and it not look like just a dead end, and have that tie in, I think that would look decent.
Yeah,
I'm
I
fine
agree.
with making that a condition.
Yeah.
I think that will be implemented by the engineering review, but if you want to make that a condition of approval, is that we provide some kind of a barrier there to
Trailhead
keep
of some
traffic.
type there, yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
Good.
I would make that recommendation. I just don't know how I would word that.
Well, that would make it easier to explain down the road if somebody else comes up with something like this.
Sure.
If you didn't have the 50-foot buffer in there.
Right.
It just makes it easier, so.
That's fine.
I believe and staff can work with the applicant to, when we
Okay.
bring forward the conditional final plat, have some kind of exhibit for you that
That'd be
shows
good.
how we work through that. It may be a page from the engineering drawings or just something to help clarify for you all.
make it look nicer.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty minor, but it could be major, so.
Yes.
Ready for a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion for item, I guess, do we call it 5D? 4D,
Yeah, 540.
with the conditions that there will be some bollards or a ramp for the access to the trail on the stub street.
I second.
Have a motion second for approval, have a roll call vote.
Mindy Payne,
Yes.
Jonathan Townsend,
Yes.
Jaylee Klimpa,
Yes.
Jason Cohen,
Yes.
Robert Goranson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, next item on the agenda is item number 6, public hearings. First one is A, is 24-852.
Sir, Chair, and Commissioners, item 6A is public hearing, consideration and possible action regarding Comp 1514, which is a comprehensive plan change for the range at Tiger Crossing. It's currently zoned A1 2CG via BAZ, which is Broken Arrow rezoning 1643, It's approximately 17 acres. It's comprehensive plan level 2 and level 4 to just level 4, located on the northwest corner of County Line Road and East Albany Street. The property is currently unplatted and undeveloped. BAZ 1643 was approved by City Council in 2004, subject to platting. This property has not been platted since this approval, so the previously approved rezoning has not been implemented. The applicant is submitting this comprehensive plan change with the intention of applying for a rezoning to CM Community Mixed Use. Comprehensive Plan Level 4 supports rezoning to CM. The applicant has submitted conceptual exhibits to show the general outline of the proposed development. This development is proposing commercial business along the frontages of both County Line Road and Albany Street. Then behind this commercial development, on the northwest portion of the lot, the applicant is proposing a townhouse duplex style multi-family development. This development is proposed to be built with a PUD, planned unit development. A conceptual PUD has been included in the agenda packet. The primary intent of the PUD is to modify the driveway spacing requirements and to outline the development plan for the townhouse/duplex style multifamily development with a maximum of 108 dwelling units. Access will be provided off Albany and County Line as shown in the conceptual layout. The details of this access are subject to change as staff works through the layout to make sure that it meets all International Fire Code regulations. According to FEMA's National Flood Horizon layer, this property is located outside of the 100-year floodplain. Sanitary sewer and water are available from the city of Broken Arrow. The surrounding land uses, zoning, and comprehensive plan are in your staff report. Staff recommends that Comp 1514-2024 be approved, subject to City Council approving a PUD that is similar to the conceptual PUD provided and the property being platted. I'm open to answer any questions if you have any.
All right, thanks, Henry. And again, this is just a comprehensive plan that we're looking at, even though we see the conceptual layout. Any questions, staff? Is the applicant present? You have anything you wish to add?
We don't have anything to add.
You're good?
We agree with the report.
Okay. Staff have any other discussion?
We didn't have anyone sign up to
Okay.
speak on this item.
No, I guess we're ready for a motion.
I'll
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I would like to make a motion to approve item 6A per staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Have a motion second, have a roll call vote.
Mindy Payne,
Yes.
Jonathan Townsend,
Yes.
Jaylee Klimpa,
Yes.
Jason Cohen,
Yes.
Robert Goranson.
Yes. And that'll go before the city council July 15th in this room at 6:30. Next item is number 6B, 24-853.
So for 6.4, we have the public hearing consideration and possible action regarding Comp 1531, which is the comprehensive plan change for Venn Park, currently zoned A1 or agriculture and R2 single family residential. This property is approximately 10.9 acres and its comprehensive plan levels 2 and 3 going to level 3, located 1/4 mile north of Kenosha and 1/4 mile east of North Elm Place. The property is currently unplatted and undeveloped. The applicant is submitting this comprehensive plan change with the intention of applying for a rezoning to CM Community Mixed Use with a PUD, planned unit development. Comprehensive plan level 3 labels rezoning to CM as possible. A draft PUD has been submitted along with the conceptual layout of the proposed development. The applicant proposes a residential development with a variety of housing including single-family detached, single-family attached, duplex, cottage court, and some commercial aspects in the form of live-work townhome style development. Staff is still working with the applicant on the details of the PUD, which will be submitted if the comprehensive plan change is approved. The conceptual draft PUD that was submitted with the application has definitions for cottage court and live-work use categories, which are heavily influenced by the downtown residential overlay district. The primary access of this site is proposed to be off an extension of West Madison Street, which would pass through city-owned property currently being used as a regional detention facility. Secondary access is still being discussed with potential access south onto North Circle Drive and a potential gated emergency access on the east of the development onto North Ash Avenue, with a stub street proposed to be provided to the undeveloped property to the north. The conceptual layout that has been submitted with this application is still subject to change. This layout has a public street that gives frontage to all of the proposed lots, with additional access being provided through private alleys. The final layout will have to meet all requirements in the zoning ordinance, engineering design criteria, and the International Fire Code. According to FEMA's National Flood Hazard Layer, this property is located outside of the 100-year floodplain. Sanitary sewer and water are available from the city of Broken Arrow. The surrounding land uses are in your staff report. Staff recommendation is based on the surrounding land use and the comprehensive plan. Staff recommends that Comp 1531-2024 be approved subject to the City Council approval of a PUD that is similar to the conceptual PUD provided and the property being platted. I'd love to answer any questions if you have any.
Thanks, Henry. Any questions, staff?
Yeah, actually, I do have a couple. But I know it's comp plan, but who's going to construct the road that goes across city property?
That is still to be determined.
Okay.
Unless I'm in.
Do you have any other questions?
Yes, but let's let the applicant come up and speak if they'd like to. It might be more for the applicant.
Let me throw something at staff for a second. I saw some stuff in the report, I guess, that kind of compared this to the draw, our downtown residential overlay district. And really this, I understand that, but it falls outside the draw, which is the 1 mile by 1 mile that goes up to Kenosha Street. And this is north of Kenosha Street. But is that what staff's really looking to see, is to actually extend the draw up north towards Broken Arrow Expressway? Or, because right now you look at putting it next to the R2. I just want to make sure that what staff's thoughts are on that first.
Yeah, so this application came from an individual property owner, not submitted by staff, so we're just reviewing what was brought to us and proposed. It does mirror the DROD district in the live work in the downtown area. That's we call that mixed use, but live works similar concept, and also the cottage court, which is more of a, the houses are faced internal towards a courtyard rather than straight into a street frontage as you would typically see. So those two types of developments are something that you see specifically in the downtown area, and it is similar in definition to those.
Okay, thanks. Is the applicant present? You have anything you wish to add? We'll need to state your name for the record if you could.
Yes, sir. My name is Gannon Brown, and I'm here. I'm one of the partners in the project.
By the way, they'll put you on the light here.
Oh, sorry.
So when it gets yellow, get close to him.
Start again?
No, you're
Okay.
all right, go.
Okay. My name is Gannon Brown. I'm one of the partners in the project. I'm also here speaking on behalf of Nick and Jamie Parker, who are the other partners in the project. And, you know, would you like me to answer any questions, or they've also prepared just something for me to read for the
well, I guess there was a question about the roadway. Did you have anything to add on that?
On which roadway?
The road that was going by the detention area, heading east, or west, heading west, right?
By the detention area?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we, again, like you mentioned, would love to try and figure out, you know, who's handling that, open-minded for sure on how to tackle that project.
Okay, and then there's just something else that I'm concerned with this. Once that street has come across, it's going, is it Elm that it would connect to?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that people are going to want to come into this neighborhood. That's going to be the primary, but then they're going to want to go south and east. Obviously, in the rendering that we have here, or the plan, there is nothing going into Ash yet currently, and I know that y'all are working it out, but I know that it does say that any possible road to the east onto Ash would have an emergency gate. I would also like to see that to the south as well, to protect both neighborhoods. I just want to get that out there, something for you all to be thinking of when we're
Yes, ma'am.
looking at this.
And I will say, Commissioner, that is part of the ongoing discussions with the PUD, whether to gate that, whether to not gate that. There's merits to both sides of that conversation.
Sure.
So that is definitely something that's still in play, and one of the reasons we don't have a full PUD for you guys yet.
Sure, I understand fully, but I just want to get that out there. You know, COVID happens and other things. I just want it for the record that I would really like to see that. Okay.
Well, this is a comprehensive plan, and
Yes.
change is what we're looking at.
Yes, sir.
And I heard the staff's recommendations that, you know, council approve it based on the PUD's approval of similar PUD. But this is the only PUD portion I see of this rough layout, to be honest with you. It's not enough to me to go on, to me.
That's what I
But
was thinking.
the PUD, the narrative that you have is more, I see a lot of it just kind of cut and paste out of comprehensive plan. So I'm not sure, I mean, we can if you want. I'm not sure if I'd be willing to approve it based on a similar PUD or the PUD conceptual layout that you have. 'Cause there's just not much to it. It's just a bunch of lines on there. I don't see any dimensions or anything. And I know you don't put a lot of work into that yet, but if we're going to make the motion to approve it to the city council, recommend it to the city council approval without seeing more of a conceptual layout, I just don't think it's right. I think we need to see some more detail myself.
I would agree. I mean, if nothing else, like the trails that go around, are they 20 foot, 50 foot? You know, what are we looking at?
Not trying to be hard on
Yeah,
you, but
no.
Just-
we don't want to put the council in a burden either that they don't deserve. So
Sure.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, no, that's good points. So,
We can speak to that, sorry.
Yeah.
We didn't introduce our whole team.
Sorry.
Gannon Brown, obviously, with Brown and Company, McGaw Realty. I'm Jennifer Griffin. I'm the architect and urban designer of the project.
please
And then,
step up to the
so you
microphone.
can hear me. Yeah,
Thank you.
sorry.
Yeah.
And this is Preston Bartley. He's the civil engineer with Westwood. As they mentioned, the owner and developer of the property is Born Again Restored. Nick and Jamie Parker obviously have worked with the community for over 10 years now, providing high quality housing. I know you guys all know them. They had a statement just to talk a little about the history and their intention to help elaborate a little bit further. We've gotten into further detail with the staff at the City of Broken Arrow to work out the PUD and some of the details. That's still in flux, obviously, you know, like the road and that extension to the west, and the details of that, working that with the city. So trying to provide you all with the framework in which we've been working with, but we have been diving into the further details and the dimensions to it all. I should say too, just in terms of the access to the site, I know that came up as just a challenge. The intent is the primary access in and out of the site is to the west. Like I said, we're still working out this with the City of Broken Arrow, who constructs that, what's the timeline, but that's the intention. And the developer is very much open to whatever arrangement would make sense for all involved. In terms of the east access, so as you all know, fire access, you're required to have 2 accesses for 30 units and above. And so the connecting to the east and the south, I mean, we just talked about it in the previous item, but just the stub street is there. So it just kind of in line with the intent. Yeah, so we want to connect to that. If it's something that needed to be gated because we wanted to prevent, instead of just emergency access, the developer's open to that, because the intention is that for that neighborhood development, the access being over to the west. There's also the reserve area that connects all the way over to the east into the Kenwood neighborhood. Again, that would only solely be fire access, because that's probably the access that we'll need to give the distance necessary between the 2 access points to adhere to fire code. So again, those 2 are there, but they're not intended. The goal is to reduce any traffic impact to the Kenwood neighborhood to the south and east.
Yeah, and I would be fine with them just being emergency gates. It doesn't have to be a gated community, so to speak. Just
just limiting it to emergency.
Yes.
And the intention is both in terms of the width of the street and the treatment of it to make it visually apparent that it's just emergency access and it's not really meant for through traffic. But they're open to providing a gate if that's something that you all felt was necessary. I had a presentation, just a couple slides just to further elaborate, just to give a little more detail. Obviously that's Born Again Restored, which I could tell from your nods you guys know and know their work, the high quality housing that they've been providing. Primarily in and around the Rose District, and this is an exciting project for them to continue that, and also to provide some really great community and neighborhood amenities as well, in addition to the quality housing. So some of the amenities that they're looking at providing, and again, we're working on the details of the location, size, and everything with the city, and making sure that it aligns well with the vision and the goals of the community. But things like we're in communication and discussions with the city about the detention area to the west, and actually, since we're needing to provide access to the site from that area, they also see it as an opportunity to really beautify that, provide some walking trails, and instead of just being a detention pond, really become an amenity for the community, and which would be open not just to those residents of the development, but really anyone. In addition to that, obviously, and Amanda mentioned, we're providing some cottage courts. Again, that's the scale of housing that fits actually really well in, single-family residential neighborhoods, but just providing some opportunities for shared landscape and green space there as a community amenity. We're also intending on providing a neighborhood pool and then some pickleball courts. So, so you can slip to the next one, the next slide, just to talk a little bit about the scale of the development. And again, obviously, this is just a comprehensive plan amendment. So it should be the third page if you go, sorry. And we've been in conversation with city staff about the dimensional standards here. We're still talking through that. Not come through, okay. Well, the third page showed just the building types we were intending on using. They're all within the scale that would fit well within the residential neighborhoods. So single family detached, cottage, small scale cottage would go around the cottage courts, single family attached, and also duplexes, which are already allowed by right in the residential districts. And then we're using we're calling it a live work, but essentially it's just a live work townhouse. So home occupations, things like that. Nothing that would, the goal is to keep any sort of traffic impact to very low to minimum to not at all. So not any large scale commercial. Wanted to just confirm that we're looking at a base zone of CM, but we're also in the process of, and you see it in our draft PUD, is limiting the uses there to just those 5 building types that we talked about. So no apartment buildings, no large-scale multifamily buildings, and hopefully we were hoping that would come through with the plat. And I apologize, we should have added the dimensions. We actually had a version to that, but we're still tweaking things, so we didn't want to get into that. But hopefully you can tell based on the plat of that compared to the adjacent neighborhoods, kind of the scale of the units that we're proposing there. So hopefully that helped provide a little bit more elaboration from the board pack and what you guys will have. But we're happy to answer any questions.
And well, I think we got more people, I think, that's wanting to talk anyway. But I guess my point was that if we're going to approve of the comp change to go to level 3, there's a lot that could fit in level 3. But if you're really wanting to tell us, hey, this is what we want to put out there, the courtyards and stuff like that, cottage courts, whatever, then I know you submitted us an exhibit to look at, but it'd be nice to have more detail to show us what you're doing. Because that way we can hold you closer to that in the future than if you come in with something totally different, if that makes sense, if it was approved or recommended to City Council.
On Monday, we plan on.
You'll need to say your name at the time this week. They want to hear you back there too.
Of course. On Monday, we plan on submitting the PUD for that public hearing cutoff, so we have a little bit more details we're working through today and over the weekend, so we can provide some more of that information. I think the way that the schedules of the submittal schedules align, it was important that we hit this comprehensive plan date here today. So in working with staff, there's a lot more information I think that'll come through when the PUD Planning Commission date that is forthcoming as well.
Okay. Any other questions after? All right, thanks. We'll give you a chance to rebut after other people talk. Thanks. So we'll open up this public hearing for others to talk, and I guess Amanda has a list of people.
Yeah. So I've got 3 separate stacks here. First, I'll read off the names of people who marked their opposition or in favor. I'll read their names. Then next up, I've got some with handwritten comments, which I will read into the record. And then last but not least, I'll call up everyone who wanted to speak on the item. So in opposition, we had Chad Watchorn, Cindy Watchorn, George and Lindsay Keller, Jamie, I apologize if I mispronounce your name, Windschanger, Brian Foster, Jim Burgett, Stephen Duncan, Richard and Renee Geiger, Sharon Wiles, Susie Wiles, sorry, Bob Gildery, Jeannie Nips, Ronald Nips, Jerry Wilson, Jose Raymond, Mark and Tammy, I'm going to mess that up, Pazanski, Joseph, Deborah Cracker, Alex Queen, Ben Foundry, Stacy White, Casey Lauren Swell, Patricia Stacy, William Fritz, Steve and Natalie Goforth, Howard Butler, Elizabeth Kidder, and Stephanie Bradley. Those were the ones who did not wish to speak.
But we're all in opposition.
But we're all in opposition, yes. All right, next up. All right, these are the ones with written comments. All right, first is from Linda Bisdorf. Not enough information for me to be in agreement to be for or against this development at this time. Related to the agenda item, but not for or against the proposal at this time. Road access from off North Ash if developer wants to build new roads to the development. This could be dangerous if built in the location with the curves in the road. Master plan, preliminary plan layout as submitted by developer of proposed community. And then we've got a copy of the exhibit, and then from the east side, dangerous road access for public road. I can't read. Cars parked on street, cars cannot get around them without stopping and letting traffic go by, people walking and kids playing. Alan Parker, opposed to the traffic in the neighborhood of Kenwood Hills. Lisa Snowden, not opposed to the development, opposed to traffic through Kenwood Hills neighborhood. Jan and Mark Tyler, rezoning of A1 and R2 and access to the proposed on Circle Drive. Vonda Morgan, if it's not going to be a gated community for duplexes, I am completely against it. This community has no sidewalks for kids, and the traffic is very bad. Galen Pink, this one was emailed in. This comment letter pertains to the upcoming Planning Commission case this Thursday, June 27th, 2024. Case number comp 1531-2024 proposes to transform an existing undeveloped green space into a very dense residential/commercial development. My wife Ann and I have lived in the Kenwood addition for over 36 years and in Broken Arrow for 48 years. We've watched BA grow rapidly, generally with new developments staying within the comprehensive plan recommendations and being compatible with adjacent existing neighborhoods. A good case in point is the last new addition of about 10 homes along Kenwood Avenue and Circle Drive west of Ash Avenue in our neighborhood. These homes are on similar sized lots and similar construction as the rest of the neighborhood, very compatible with our existing neighborhood. The proposed rezoning and development proposes to divide approximately 11 acres of total land into 71 lots on an average of 6.5 acres, lots per acre. There's some calculations to show that. When you remove the area for the reserved for right-of-ways, reserve areas, and common cottage courts, leaving approximately 5.27 acres of developable land. The average goes up to 13.5 acres per lot. Granted, the size of the lots shown on the proposed PUD map vary widely. Current housing density in our neighborhood ranges from about 3 lots per acre to several at 0.5 or 1 acre per home. The project description states that this development will focus on community, walkability, and activity. This development will be located between a large detention pond to the west, our existing Kenwood neighborhood on the south and east, and the Broken Arrow Expressway on the north. There is nowhere to walk except on the few perimeter trails that are connected by proposed internal streets. This development will require residents to drive everywhere to get goods and services. Unfortunately, the developers also propose to mix residential commercial uses in the same structures, adding even more traffic in the already busy streets. It appears from the PUD that there's only one road connection into this new dense development. This is currently a small stub out between 2 existing residents. This will potentially add traffic from 70+ new residents and businesses, nearly doubling the number of lots in our neighborhood. It's hard to imagine the additional traffic and congestion this will bring to our neighborhood streets. Circle Drive, Ash Avenue, and Kenwood Avenue. Another troubling part of the PUD is that the street shown to the south of the detention pond, apparently connecting to this new PUD. This street does not currently exist in the Kenwood neighborhood, would be vehemently opposed to any connection to East Elm Place through our neighborhood. A cut through like this would provide Elm Place to Kenosha through Kenwood Avenue through the Kenwood addition would have horrible impacts on our traffic, public safety, and quality of life. The displacement of all of that green, undeveloped area with dense development is unfortunate, but we have seen this. Okay. The last one I had to read was an email coming in. This was from Joel Hone. It says, I'm reaching out in regards to Comp 1531-2024. I have questions regarding the increased danger to pedestrians as a result of adding a southern entrance to the proposed development on North Circle Drive. This is a quiet neighborhood with no sidewalks, meaning pedestrians walk on the road. What will be done to protect the pedestrians with the increased traffic as a result of the street being used as a thoroughfare?
All right, thanks, Amanda. I'll go ahead and read these. Okay, when I call your name, you come up to the microphone and state your name, and you'll have, 3 minutes to talk? So the first one on the list is Don Stevens.
Since we have a few, do you want to call the next person so they can be ready to hop on deck?
I guess I can. Gail Pray Fritz, be ready.
Hello, Commissioner. Don Stevens. I live on Circle Drive, 1104 North Circle Drive. I've been in the Kenwood Hills Edition for 24 years, in this current location about 10. Basically, I think it's a great concept, and you've got a tough job ahead of you. You got a purpose for collection taxes of all those properties. But my opposition, basically, and I think many of it agree, and you voiced a lot of the concerns we have, is the traffic flow. It's simply a quiet neighborhood. As mentioned, we have city streets that are narrow, they're twisty, they have no sidewalks. We have children, families, seniors, walking dogs, all times of the day and evenings. So it's just even limited lighting for the area as well. So our concern primarily is over, the southern access onto Circle Drive, as well as the potential for, well, I don't see much of opportunity access to the north, because that's private property up there. To the east is no access except maybe that fire access emergency. And I've heard the discussion of not gated, but limited access on the Circle Drive. I just don't see how any of that potentially would work. Obviously, everything going to the east, to the west is to the subdivision's advantage. But there's limited access to roads in place, streets in place as it is now. And I think it's Madison Avenue, West of Madison is primarily the only one. So I don't know how the city will go about doing that. That's critical to us. And more importantly, I think our concern is the safety of the residents that live in that addition right now. So we're looking forward to what choices, decisions are made, and how we go to the next level. I'm not familiar with all the correct zoning adjustments you're making tonight, but we'll have another opportunity, I guess. So thank you very much for your time.
All right, thanks, Mr. Stevens. All right, next person is Gail Pray Fritz. And after her is Sandra Butler. You'll be next.
Hi, members of the Planning Commission. You have a tough job.
Can you please state your name?
I am Gail Pray Fritz, a resident of Broken Arrow, 1034 Circle Drive, Kenwood Hills Edition. My concern about this request is with the proposed change of the comprehensive plan from level 2 urban development to level 3 for a proposed mixed-use development. The opposition is not just with the mixed-use development, it is with the PUD draft outline and the preliminary plat outline or layout. The Venn Park PUD draft outline states, as Henry said, use, or it will allow use for single-family attached, detached, duplex, cottage court, which could be duplex structures, and live-work facilities, which include commercial and residential, horizontally and vertically. And when they were talking about like downtown, does that mean that they could build 6 to 8 stories? I assume it does mean that. The Vin Park preliminary plat shows the 71 lots, and if the cottage court has duplexes, like they were saying, it could be multi-residential, that could add 24 units, totaling approximately 95 units or even more. The reason this is of concern is the plat layout has an entrance into our existing Kenwood Hills addition. As stated in the Broken Arrow land use intensity system, level 3 represents a transition zone from strictly residential development to strictly non-residential development. As such, the primary use for level 3 is higher density residential uses and commercial, which sounds like this new development. As stated in our city's land use intensity system, this level of intensity should be located adjacent to an arterial street. The major concern is one of the entrance exits to the development. It shows that the preliminary plat layout shows an entrance into our existing low-density neighborhood onto Circle Drive, leading to a street with just 7 houses on it, then to Ash Avenue, then to exit on Kenosha. This would be an additional 190 cars entering and exiting our neighborhood every day. Our city's own land use intensity system states that this new high-density development cannot enter-exit into a low-density neighborhood. It needs to enter-exit to an arterial street. A better option would be for the new development to exit onto Birch Avenue, to go south to Kenosha. There is no need to exit into our low-density neighborhood. As you've heard before, we have walkers, tricycle riders, dog walkers in our neighborhood streets continuously throughout the day, and safety is a huge concern. I'm not opposed to this development. I am opposed to the entrance and exit into Circle Drive or Ash Avenue, into our existing 75-year-old Kenwood Hills addition. Thank you for hearing my concerns.
I just wanted, while she's up, I just wanted to state, the way the code is with the city of Broken Arrow, they will have to have 2 entrances / exits for emergency. That's all I just wanted to say.
But it doesn't need to have to come into our neighborhood.
But that's the only way from the way this property is situated.
Well, then I ask that you all consider something
I understand.
else.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, Sandra Butler. Next, after that would be Frank Horton.
Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Sandra Butler, and I live at 114 East Norman Place. So my house backs up to that steep hill that goes down. And shortly after there were apartments built below the hill, I had young kids coming up that hill through my yard carrying guns. They were going hunting in the field where you're developing or wanting to develop. And of course, I had words with them about not coming through my property. I worry about this because, as the old saying goes, too many peas in the pot makes it boil over. And if we are going to have that many new people moving in this small area, it greatly concerns me. Because we can't handle what we've got right now. I live in that neighborhood and I know how hard it is to get out of that neighborhood. There are some days you sit there and wait a good 20 minutes just to try to get across Kenwood. And, you know, that's just proof right there that it's getting too crowded. And you can't even get out where the red light is. You have to go further east to get out. You know, I'm not against development. My granddaughter's in that business. She built the 4-story apartment house in Broken Arrow. That also has the little shopping complex below. So I do know how important development is. But I feel there might be some other options that maybe you could go further down Lynn Lane, or you could go further down County Line to develop, where there's big acreages for sale down there, further north. But why squeeze more into an area that's already having traffic issues? So that's my statement there. And I just, you know, I saw a deer in my yard when we first moved there. I've seen red foxes run across our yard and back into the woods, all kinds of little animals. What's going to happen to these little critters? I mean, you know, besides the human element, we have little animals and that we need to be concerned about their habitats. Anyway, that's all I have to say, and I thank you.
All right,
Thank
thanks, Ms.
you.
Butler. All right, next, Frank Horton. After Frank, it's Brian Wenchlegra, I believe.
Yeah, it's Frank Horton, Mr. Lawrence. I think that's a mistake. What I was wanting to talk about was 6H.
What was the
Okay.
mistake?
That I was, mine
He's
was
wanting to
item
talk about
24,
6H.
867.
Well, do you want to talk about this one too?
No, sir.
I'll put you in the correct stage.
I was just
you.
going by the stack, Frank. And that means Brian Wenchlegra. Did I say that right?
He'll
After
correct
that
you
is
when he comes
Stacy
up.
White.
He'll correct you when he comes up. He'll
Probably.
state it correctly, I'm sure.
I bet I'm not too far off.
Well, you're pretty close. Think of a bottle of wine and a little Schlager. Put it together, it's wine Schlager.
There you go.
So,
I wouldn't have got that. So.
I'm Brian.
I don't think I'll ever forget it.
Out of 28 of us in the world, I say it different than the rest of them. My biggest concern is I was very close friends with McWilliams, Greg McWilliams. This land was never, under Greg's surmise, supposed to ever be sold and turned into anything but green land. I have Greg McWilliams' old home. He deceased a couple years ago. The east entrance goes across my front yard. The animal and wildlife that are out there in that, it's going to be destructive to them. There's coyotes, there's bobcats, there's a ton of stuff. Until the property is sold, my game cameras were picking up all kinds of cool stuff. And my grandbaby's named every one of them. The coyotes have names. The deer have names. The traffic flow going in here is, the neighborhood's quiet, it's peaceful. We don't want any of this. There needs to be a different plan. There needs to be a more comprehensive plan. I was in construction for 35 years, so we just need to see a better plan, is all I'm saying. And that's all I got to say on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. All right, next one is Stacy White. After Stacy White is Jim Brewer.
Hi there. Stacy White here, 1218 North Ash. My house butts up right against the development, right against the line, and I've only been in the neighborhood for 2 years. I'm pretty new to Kenwood Hills too. I love the neighborhood. I'm actually originally from Tulsa, and I moved to Broken Arrow, for several reasons from Tulsa. And everything that has been stated on the paper, everyone behind me I concur with. We have wildlife that I'm concerned about. My teenage son walks the neighborhood, he skateboards. I walk the neighborhood, and it is very difficult. I just can't imagine all of this development, that much stuff back there, and all this traffic. We have walkers, elderly walkers behind me that walk. It is a big deal. We also have major issues going on 71st Street on Elm. It is huge. A lot of these people, including myself, have to wait a couple minutes just to go left and right, and it's going to be way worse, and I do not know why these people have thought about that. They need to take this development elsewhere, period. I'm 100% opposed on it, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Jim Brewer. And after that is Jerry Champion.
Yes, I've been on Kenwood Drive since 1970.
Could you state your name, sir?
1970, and
No, your
Your
name.
name, sir.
Jim Brewer. There's 3 other houses up there when I moved. And to get out of there today, coming down Ash, I have to go west to get to here. You can't turn down Ash and come back to the east. There's no way. There's too much traffic.
On Kenosha, right?
Well, right, on Kenosha to do that.
Right.
Now, if I'm gonna go east, I cut through the neighborhood on Kenwood, a couple of blocks, come back, and then wait, and finally there's a turn lane, thank goodness. And sometimes people will stop and let you cut through that are backed up from the light. But it's like, we just can't stand any more traffic there. I mean, it's like, used to, I could pull down Norman, down the street, get on, head down to downtown Broken Arrow. Not anymore. I can't do it with the traffic we have today. And we just can't stand anymore. I guess you'd sit behind two cars waiting on them to get out, then I could go. I don't know. If you're going to dump a bunch more vehicles down that street. It's like crazy. Bigger the better, I guess. You need to move to Dallas.
All right, thanks, Mr. Brewer. All right, next one is Jerry Champion, and after that is Chris Newbro.
I'm not sure Jerry's present.
Well, I bet he was speaking for the applicant, right? Or you think he was in opposition?
Opposition.
Oh, okay. So the next one is Chris Newbro. And after that is Susan Massey.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris Newbro. My wife and I live at 1120 North Circle Drive. We are the property where the stub street goes into the proposed property, along with my backyard against the new proposed development. My wife and I are not opposed to development in Broken Arrow. My wife and I think there's a better plan. We would truly like to see this stay R2 residential, larger lots, a calmer, more peaceful neighborhood backing up to us and backing up to Kenwood Hills. We have great concern about the amount of traffic that this may add to our addition. It has been mentioned by many people so far. The traffic flow is not great and the congestion is not great currently. I wish the developers well in this property. I think it could be done better. If we can keep the traffic out of Kenwood Hills, I think it would be very wise. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Susan Massey. And after that is John Lindeman.
Okay. Susan Massey, 1116 North Kenwood Avenue. I'm a little nervous, so I'll try to be as concise as possible. I moved into a house on Kenwood Avenue from Colorado almost 5 years ago. And Colorado considers quality of life very important to residents. There are green spaces, walking spaces, biking trails incorporated into all areas of new build. And as noted, they mentioned that there's going to be some, but if it's a closed community, it won't be available to anybody else either. I'm aware that everyone deserves a place to live, but they also expect to have quality of life built into the neighborhoods. I have several concerns about the proposed development. One of the major concerns, like everyone else has noted, is increasing traffic. It's already difficult to exit or enter our neighborhood, especially at certain times of the day. I'm also downhill from the proposed development. Traffic comes way too fast down the hill, around the curve in the road. And I took a couple pictures from my driveway, and yeah, you can see those, okay. There's a curve that comes down, and then there's also one that comes off of Kenosha. And they come down way too fast. My driveway is on Ash, and I'm concerned that as I back out, I'll be hit. I would propose either, in addition to whether this is developed or not, a four-way stop sign at the corner, speed bump to slow traffic down, because already, as mentioned, there are a few houses up the hill, and one neighbor warned me to be careful when I moved in, as her dog was killed by a driver coming down the hill too fast, and she was walking it on a leash. There are no sidewalks in the neighborhood. All walkers, whether it is a parent with small children, children on bicycles, or a spouse taking a sick mate out in a wheelchair, they have to walk in the street, and a wheelchair cannot go into the grass. And I don't know if any of that's been considered. If they exit onto Elm instead of 71st Street, there's a lot of traffic on that street also, so how do they propose merging traffic coming off of that development into Elm? So, let's see. I didn't have all the plans, but I was informed that there would be a retention pond incorporated in the area. And my question is, how will it be maintained? Again, I live downhill and already have water issues as neighbors from all of the other neighbors from water seepage from up the hill. Will mosquito spraying be required on the part of the contractor or the new neighbors? Retention pond is going to create that. Was that my 3 minutes already?
Yep.
I tried to talk fast. But I have one more thing. The city water pipes, is any of that going to be redone down? Because I've already had to be repaired several times in my neighborhood, in my yard, and the neighbor next to me.
All right,
Because it's
thank
all
you.
old pipes.
While the next person's coming, I would just like to say, we've had several people mention traffic, and you did mention a few different and unique things about traffic right there where you're at. But if your main thing is traffic, when you come up, obviously come up and speak, but just say something to, and traffic like everybody else, or something like that. So we're gonna be here till 9 o'clock with this, but next person.
All right. After John, it's going to be Claudia Taylor.
All right, I'm John Lindeman. I live at 1201 North Kenwood Avenue, and traffic. But also, I think what we haven't addressed yet is the stub connection, and it would have the gate. So maybe there's not additional everyday traffic, it's emergency traffic. I think that's probably okay. What I would look for specifically from my address is going out to the east where it's marked as a reserve area, and I understand there has to be a certain dimension between the two entrance and exit. I'd ask to get creative on that so that I don't have roads on 4 sides of me. So my neighbor and I already got 3 roads around us, and having another one in the backyard between Brian and I would not be ideal. And I've spoken with Nick with Born Again Restored. If it's not a road, then it might be a sidewalk, and if it doesn't have to be a road, I don't think they want to put in a road, but maybe we could use Circle Drive and have pedestrian access through there and not in my backyard. Brian and I like each other not that much, where we just have a road between us. I think the development is probably a good thing, considering that it will be developed someday. And I'd rather it not be a commercial development. I'd rather not see the potential for what I think there's some leeway in the live work, what the work might be. I'd rather see that not as an option for this development. I would like to see it be residential. I love the idea of it being larger lots that would be more consistent with our current neighborhood and fitting with the area. I love that, but residential specifically I think could add a lot to the area. My biggest ask is that it not be considered east exit onto Ash in my backyard. Thank you.
All right, thank
you.
Next is Claudia Taylor.
I'm Claudia Taylor. I live at 1302 North Ash Avenue. I have a few comments to make. I am one of the unfortunate homeowners who would back up to the proposed development. For 40+ years, my family has enjoyed a quiet neighborhood and backyard privacy. The Green Belt has provided many hours of enjoyment watching the wildlife that resides therein. Has any consideration been given to relocating the wildlife? The proposal before the Commission tonight states that the new urbanist concepts would be utilized. What are these concepts? An internet search provided this definition. Its goals are to reduce dependence on the car, and to create livable and walkable neighborhoods with densely packed array of housing, jobs, and commercial sites. The proposal also states that there is a steep drop-off from the residential homes facing Ash Avenue to the east of the property. This is a true statement. However, the proposal goes on to state that the change in topography will act as a natural screening buffer between the proposed development and the homes to the east. This may not be true depending on the vertical height of new construction. A tall structure along the east property line could easily eliminate any backyard privacy, even with the existing homeowners installing privacy fence. A flat plat does not provide a comprehensive understanding of the developer's intent other than the desires for monetary gain. I fear that the property value of the existing homeowners on Ash Avenue will be sacrificed with the approval of the proposed development. Therefore, I respectfully request the Planning Commission to deny this process. Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, so that's all I have wanted to talk, so we'll close the public hearing. We'll have some discussion. So,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry, you got a chance to rebut. So,
Did you want to just respond to it?
yeah, do you have anything you want to talk about the traffic or anything like that?
You'll have 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I forgot all about it. Sorry about that.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for all the comments.
Well,
My paper did not get read. I signed up, and I didn't hear my name at all. I'd like to speak.
Did you turn your paper in?
I turned my paper in, yes, sir.
When did you turn it in? What's your name?
Wade Sewell.
Hold on a second.
Is this him? Okay.
We have you wanting to talk on 6F.
Yeah, you wrote 6F on the item. It's up to you whether you want to.
I apologize.
Go ahead.
I said
Go ahead,
let him
madam.
speak.
Oh, now just throw her under the bus.
Oh, that's not cool at all, man.
I think for that, you shouldn't be able to speak. I think you should be able to speak.
So we have you on here as wanting to talk for item 6F, and it also says you don't want to speak, actually.
Okay.
So, is this your item?
Yes.
So you're in opposition?
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to talk, or are you good?
I would like to talk.
Okay.
All right, come out and we'll give you some time. You only have 3 minutes. Now, if you start talking about another item on the agenda.
And if you start talking about traffic.
We got it straightened out, we're good.
Sorry about that.
That's all right, it was F, not B, so.
My name is Wade Sewell, and I do second traffic. But a lot of that has to do with no sidewalks. So someone else had spoke intelligently about that, so I'll second that as well. Also, somebody has spoken about the height of what these houses can reach. I also live on that hillside property, and I'm worried about just looking directly. I'm 20 foot up in the back of my property line, and I could look into someone's third or fourth story building. Also, if there's a second plan B that's developed to enter on Madison, that Madison is an industrial, commercial zone. So we're going to put this 140 passing cars next to or right into a light commercial zone. There's already a daycare right there. There's an family auto right there, and that's not right either. So I don't know how this fits into their plan, but I think they need to present a better plan than what they got right now, because just a fake road that's not there yet isn't a good way to start. Thank you.
All right, thanks. So now that should be it. So now we'll close the public hearing. Is that after they talk?
Great, thank you. And thank you for the comments and the discussion so far. Just to respond to some of them to help give further context, I think what we said at the beginning, the developer's preference actually is to not connect to the east and the south, and the intention always has been the primary entrance and exit being all the way to the west. But with the city requiring us to connect to it, that's kind of puts us in a tough position. But to echo the traffic comment, our intention is not to increase that, and that's our preference. So there's a way that we can work with the city to limit or prevent any traffic from ingesting into those neighborhoods. That would be the preference. Also, in terms about walkability, and I'm sorry that you all don't have sidewalks in your neighborhood. That's obviously
you need to talk to the microphone.
Okay, yeah. Sorry that I want to face you, but I can't talk. Okay,
they can hear you.
Okay. I apologize. Sorry that you don't have sidewalks in your neighborhood. That's obviously a lesson learned for us too. And so providing narrow streets to slow traffic down, at least internally with our neighborhood, and to provide those gracious sidewalks is really important and is the cornerstone to our development. And we've been communicating that with staff. Obviously, like I said, because this is just a comp plan amendment to adjust the southern parcel that's level 2 to match the north parcel of level 3. We're in discussion with staff is that getting into those details wasn't really this meeting's purpose, but it's inherent in our discussion, and we'll continue on with that. Obviously, nature is hugely important to the developer as well, and that's why the desire to beautify that detention area. And obviously, we can work on where the sidewalk's connected, but the goal would be to, if desirable by the neighborhood adjacent to the Kenwood Hill neighbors, to connect them, at least pedestrian-wise, sidewalks through this to that beautiful, that newly beautified detention area, to give them that amenity and the connection to that, if that's something that, connection to nature is desired for them. So, or if that's what they desire. I don't want to talk about anything.
Yeah, I think another really good point that was stated from Ms. Fritz, she spoke to the transition zone. So going from larger, lower density residential to commercial that's on the other side of the detention pond, we see this development as being a nice transition of breaking up the lower density residential to the commercial that's over off of Elm. So like Jen said, with the enhancing and the beautification of the city-owned and maintained detention pond, we see that as all residents in the area being able to utilize that amenity on public land. So our developer helping enforce and providing additional walking trails, trees, and things like that to help with the nature in the area, and for all residents, not just from our development, to be able to utilize that is an amenity to the community, which is kind of what Nick and Jamie at Born Again are all about, is the community in Broken Arrow.
So are you saying your original intent was to go off West Madison Street only, and then the city, like we always do, we say, hey, we need two entrances and exits, and that's where you got the other one on the east side? Is that what happens?
That's correct, yeah. And obviously with the stub street there and the intention in the zoning code, we assumed from talking with staff that like the connection to that stub street is important. But again, blocking it off to emergency exit gate only. I mean, if it's necessary to connect them because of the fire code, but limiting and gating it only to pedestrians and fire vehicles on those instances of emergencies, then that's the preference of the developer as well. So.
And then to touch a little bit more on West Madison, because I think that was your question about who's going to pay for that or what is. The developer has had a lot of early ongoing conversations about extending West Madison to the development. Who's going to pay for that is still kind of an up in the air question, but I think the city, Broken Arrow Engineering Department, and the developer know that that's necessary to serve this development in any real development, not just this one specifically.
But currently, there's not a stub street on Ash, right?
No, there's not.
No.
Right. So which step street you were talking about?
The one going east, you mean? That was due for fire access because we needed the distance in between the two exits to be a certain distance for it to qualify. But if, like I said, if we're able to do it without that, if we're given a variance or something like that, we'd be happy to do that.
I can speak from the staff side on that. So we have two really different things going on. The existing stub street from the neighborhood that was built when that neighborhood was put into place for the purpose of connecting to new developments. However, we realize that this is a more dense development than was planned for it at that time. So that's why those discussions are open. Should it be gated, not gated? The fire access question is completely separate. There is no variance from fire code. It's international fire code, period. That's it. So there will be required to be 2 points of access that have a minimum separation distance for fire. And that secondary entrance could be gated, but there will have to be at least 2 entrances and exits out of this neighborhood.
So Amanda, so what we've got here in this depiction, where you build Madison, whoever that is, and the Circle Drive, that is not far enough for this.
Correct.
That's what okay. Thank you for that clarification. So you basically have to have 3. You don't have to, but I mean, to meet
right.
code.
If there's another way to meet that separation, this is very conceptual at this point. I think those locations could change. This is just conceptually to give you guys an idea, but I just want to make sure that everybody knows that there will have to be 2 points at some point, whether they're gated, not gated, that's all still up for discussion, but we can't get around the fire code.
Yeah. See, and this is a comprehensive plan change, so right now it's level 2 and 3, and so you have A1 and R2, so you're looking at going 2 straight to level 3, and with your cottage type courts and everything like that. So even if they were going to go to R2 on both, we would still probably want the street stepping into Kenwood, right?
Yes.
Or
so
tying into Kenwood. But then their concern is the amount of traffic, because you got more lots, so you're gonna have more cars, more vehicles.
No matter what development, if it were to go in that same area, would be required to have the 2 points of access for fire. And then also that stub street connection would be contemplated no matter if this was a single family development, multifamily development, or what you're seeing today.
And where Madison, or where it would tie into Ash is what, about halfway down the existing addition, right? So, pardon?
I said he has another map.
I'm looking at different ones that I got too, so.
Right, the one that came with the,
north-south.
Yeah, the public hearing's closed, so we can't have the audience speaking, I'm sorry.
You're correct, though, about halfway north-south
Yeah.
is about that connection.
If you could pull up the case map, I think that's the one where.
Yeah, or the comprehensive plat map. That works too.
I appreciate the things you guys have spoken to this point. Speaking directly on the traffic and the walkability, I would say about a third of the people who were here that spoke prior to your rebuttal said something along the lines of, "I just want to see a better plan." What would you say to that? How much room, how much space or capacity is there to enhance a plan, or is this as confident as you feel you need to be with what is being, what has been conceptualized to this point?
Yeah, do you want to
Yeah, so I'd say, and again, because this is the comp plan meeting, the level of detail we didn't get to, we're still working on that and developing further. I think as we illustrate the spaces, I mean, the plan's one thing, right? It's a very diagrammatic illustration, but showing some renderings of what the actual streets will feel like, the place will look like, I think will help to articulate the quality that we're shooting for. You know, we're open to modifying it. Obviously, the desire is to create that walkable place that's community minded, and to be able to do that, you have to provide those amenities and that the quality public space to be able to provide that for the community. So like I said, I'm hopeful, and our expectation was, as we go through the PUD, providing more of that information, especially to articulate the kind of place we're hoping to create. And I honestly, I don't think we're too out of alignment in terms of the place, in terms of what the neighbors are wanting, and what we're providing. I think it's just maybe not clear in terms of the diagrammatic nature of the plan, but as we show those renderings, hopefully they can see, the kind of place we're proposing.
Yeah, I would just add, I think the developer's goal here is not to cram as many lots as he possibly could into this area, because we would, there are other ways to do that we have, that we could really densely pack this. I think that the intention is to create that community where there's walkability, there's kids running around playing on their bikes. That's why we have the widened parkways, we have wider sidewalks to use the detention pond as additional open space for the development. So this is a very well thought out plan that we've really spent months and months and months trying to develop, and this is what we're happy with. But things always change and can move, and so we'll definitely take all of the consideration of all of the local residents into account as we continue to morph our plan.
And you all feel that this is an asset to quality of life. That was another phrase that was used as well, saying that this would be a risk to quality of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that we believe it would be an enhancement to quality of life and also the property values as well. That was another concern that was mentioned. Again, very hard to see from the graphics that were provided here today. So it has for sure been more thoroughly thought out than that. We're much further through the process as far as the brainstorming and the potential of realistic execution than what's currently shown in just graphic A up there.
Well, what gets me is this is a comprehensive plan change. That's what we're talking about.
Yes,
But a lot of it's riding on what you're going to put out there. Sometimes, every case is based on its own merit. So some items come through here where we don't need much detail, but this one here, there's a lot of concerns out there, and we understand that.
Yeah, I understand.
And I think we do need to see some more information. Definitely the PUD conceptual layout that you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
And I think you already have stuff in your head. You just need to put it on paper so we could see it and they could see it. Now, if you could have a neighborhood engagement meeting, are you familiar with those?
Yes, sir.
If you could have something like that, it may be tough on you, but if you could have something like that, well, I didn't mean it that way, but maybe I did. But anyway, if you could discuss it with them and let them know so they can ask you a lot of questions instead of coming here. We don't mind you coming here. We want you to come here and ask questions.
Yes.
But they could pick your brain a little bit more. But do you have any renderings? Like I said, I know it's comp plan change, but when I look at the drawing, and that's what some of your stuff, a lot of your stuff is based on, right?
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of clusters on those homes, how they look, and they do look nice, but they're concerned with the traffic. And if it takes an emergency gate on Ash or whatever it takes, as the more details you lay out and work with staff would make it much better for everybody, I think.
I agree.
Is staff going to meet with them next week for more information?
It depends on if we table it, or we can just table it till whenever they're ready to bring it back.
Yeah, I think
However you want
tabling
to
it
do
would be a really
Instead of
good
tabling it
idea.
for like next month, table it to whenever staff's ready to put it back on the agenda.
I think that would
To
be.
give them a chance to look at it, give them a chance to put renderings, whatever, together, address the traffic, and
The
have an
traffic,
engagement
and
meeting
like
with
the swimming pool and the slides, like there's nothing there that says anything on that.
Yeah,
And
so,
I'd
yeah.
like to see more detailed and
our option
your
is
thoughts.
to either approve, deny, so.
Yeah,
Or
I
table.
apologize that I gave the president the third page that doesn't shows some
Right.
three-dimensional stuff of our building for
I
some
figured it's
reason.
just snowing or something, so.
Yeah, and I can do that for you.
Also, just dimensionally and conceptually, like Preston mentioned, Monday, the expectation is for us to present PUD, and there's quite a bit of detail, again, that unfortunately wasn't necessarily presented here.
And it's not the actual PUD that we would be approved, we're looking at the comp plan.
concept
Yeah.
So if, you don't have to have all the dimensions,
Right.
Well,
we
and
just
the
need,
more that you can
that
show
was-
us, the better,
yeah,
to
that was
convince
my-
us this is the right thing to do.
we
Yeah.
just need a little bit more meat to this to make a comp plan change.
No, I agreed. So the question to that is like, as we're getting into some of this level of detail, is it something that the commission would consider approving the comp plan. See, it's seeming that like the detail for the comp plan approval is basically the detail of the PUD, like having the renderings, the building types, the dimensions, and that sort of thing. Would you be willing to approve the comp plan and the PUD together? I mean, as one single go, just because they're so intimately involved?
Only thing I'm concerned about is if it goes on to the city council too, and we really didn't take that close of a look at the conceptual layout, because that's what the recommendation was too, based on the city council approving a conceptual site plan similar to what was submitted tonight. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't do that to the city council because there wasn't enough detail to do that.
No, not tonight, but if coming back to you all with essentially the full level of the PUD.
I think too much is riding on the comp plan change that we're not seeing, and I think to be fair to everybody, we should see that.
And I'll say from staff's process, we don't like to see comp plans and PUDs come together on the same agenda item for that exact reason. It really does need to go through council before we go through the PUD process.
Yeah, we're just looking for a more detailed layout of what you got there. Kind of what we're seeing there. Now we're seeing, I think, your drawing finally is coming up.
Yeah. And I will say, just for the planning commission, so if you were to recommend approval of the comp plan change not subject to the PUD, traditional apartments would be on the table for that. So that is one of the reasons that staff recommended approval of this comp plan subject to a similar PUD being approved. So that's why we didn't recommend just straight comp plan approval, because there's other traditional apartments that we do not feel would be as
right. And I'm glad you said that, because that's what I was going to say, that if we were to approve the comp change going from level 2 and 3 to level 3, there's a lot of stuff that falls under level 3 that a lot of these people are probably not aware of, and they're going to go home and look it up and say, oh man, now look what we might get. So if, like I said, this is tied to your conceptual layout a lot more than usually what we see.
Yeah, thank you. That's really good feedback. You can absolutely provide it.
I'm not guaranteeing to get approval next time or recommend to the city council for approval. I'm just saying we ought to see more detail, and I think they deserve it too.
Yeah, agreed.
So can we request that we table this for?
Sure.
You sure can.
Sure, you can request it.
We would like to request that we table.
So, if the planning commission, if that's your pleasure, then I would ask staff, do you want to table it until you're ready to put it on the agenda?
Table it indefinitely.
Yes.
Graham, do we need a set date so we don't have to do public notices again?
Well, I would do this indefinitely, because if they're not ready to put it back on by the next meeting.
Yeah, I would say to be more transparent, and I think we should at least send out an informational notice once that date has been set.
Correct.
That way the public's fully aware of when that will happen again. So we can send out an informational notice.
So who does that go to? The people in the
That would go to everyone in that 300 foot
yeah.
radius.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So
now you close the public hearing.
Need a motion to table it.
Well, he first.
So I guess in motion, we can request them to have an engagement meeting with the neighbors. I guess we could do that too. I know Jonathan's big.
They're not required to, though. But
do what?
They're not required to.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess that's something we could do, but we would hope that you would do that.
Yeah.
All right. So if you want to make a motion.
Okay. What? We need to close the public hearing.
Will you close the public hearing?
I thought I closed it. I tried many times.
Well,
so we closed the public hearing, so no more. Don't get me in trouble.
Okay.
Saying that.
All right. So
Public
I think
hearing's closed.
we're done with discussion with the applicants, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Any
So
other
I'll make a
discussion?
motion to table item 6B.
Indefinitely.
Indefinitely.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. Have a roll call vote.
No. Well, yes, record. And then start voting. Mindy Payne?
Yes.
Jonathan Townsend?
Yes.
Jaylee Klimpa?
Yes.
Jason Cohen?
Yes.
Robert Goranson?
Yes. So what staff was saying, so we're going to table this until another meeting down the road. We don't know when it's going to be exactly, when the applicant and staff is ready to come in, but they're going to send you a notice to let you know when it's going to come back, correct?
Yes.
If you're within 300 feet of that property.
Could we make a request if everybody in the subdivision be informed, or is it only going to be 300
Well, I think by law,
By law,
we
it's
only have to do
300.
300 feet
Mhm.
outside, within a 300 feet radius of
Of
that
the property, yeah.
I will say, if you have an HOA representative
Yeah.
who could kind of be our point of contact, we'd be happy to reach out to that person, even if they're not on the radius, so that you guys can share that information with your neighborhood. So if you do have an HOA president or a representative that you'd like to appoint, please come see one of us, either after the meeting, or you can stop by tomorrow. We'll be here all day.
The only HOA I'm familiar with only has 8 homeowners in that association.
Well, the thing is, like, if you said everybody, so there's no guarantees we could get it to everybody, then
Yeah.
that could throw a hurdle in the works, so we don't want to do that. So word of mouth would be best thing to do, hopefully. So.
We can also repost the yellow signs that you saw on the property. So those will probably come down after today or tomorrow, whenever the sign crew gets out to get them. But we can repost those as well, so anybody driving by can see that again.
All right, thanks for coming.
Did you guys actually
Chair,
vote?
do we want?
Give them
Yeah. Do we want to pause so they can leave? Okay. Round C. Yeah, I know. Now we got the other half next time, probably.
Is it C? Okay.
I don't know.
Actually harder.
All right.
All right, so the next item on the agenda is item number 6C, 24-862.
I'm not sure.
Yes, this is a public hearing, consideration, and possible action regarding Comp 1535, 2024, comprehensive plan change, Iron Book acres, 15 acres, level 1 to level 6, generally located on Oneida Road, which is 241st East Avenue and north of Kenosha Street, 71st. The applicant is interested in developing this property for industrial uses for future commercial, office, warehouse, and mini storage. Pending approval of this amendment of the comprehensive plan, the applicant intends to submit a rezoning request to change the zoning to industrial light. On August 15, 2023, City Council approved the rezoning of the southern two properties to C, G, and IL with a planned unit development PUD subject to platting. At this time, the applicant proposes to expand the approved PUD area to include the property to the north. In conjunction with the rezoning request, a comprehensive plan change to level 6 was approved by City Council in 2017, subject to the property being platted. Amending the comprehensive plan to level 6 could potentially support future rezoning to any of the zoning districts identified as possible or allowed within the comprehensive plan level. Table 4-1 Land Use Intensity System Zoning District Table of the comprehensive plan identifies these potential districts, which are in your packet there. Based on the location of the property and the surrounding land uses, staff recommends that Comp 1535 2024 be approved, subject to the property being platted. And I'm here if you have any questions, and the applicant is here tonight.
All right, thanks, Chris. Any questions, staff? Is the applicant present? You have anything you wish to add?
No, sir.
Okay, Sue.
Well, we're present, but we don't have anything.
Okay. Any discussion? Is there anybody signed up to speak?
We have none for this item.
Nobody in opposition? Guess we're ready for a motion if there's no discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve item 6C per staff recommendations.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, have a roll call vote.
Mindy Payne,
Yes.
Jonathan Townsend,
Yes.
Jaylee Klimpa,
Yes.
Jason Cohen,
Yes.
Robert Goranson.
Yes. That'll go before the city council July 15th in this room at 6:30. All right, next item on the agenda is item number 6D, 24-854.
Oh, is that Henry's item? Let me pull it up. Are you ready to go, Henry?
Okay, so we have public hearing, consideration, and possible action regarding PUD 1545, which is 620 South Ash, approximately 0.33 acres, zoned DROD, Downtown Residential Overlay District Area 1, and R3, Single Family Residential, located on the northwest corner of South Ash Avenue and West Houston Street at 620 South Ash. PUD 1545 requests the following deviations from the single-family requirements of the Downtown Residential Overlay District zoning regulations. Lot area in Area 1 for the DROD is 5,000 square foot minimum. The PUD is requesting to decrease that to 4,500 square foot. The applicant is requesting a decrease in the minimum lot size to facilitate a lot split on this property. As shown in the conceptual exhibit, the applicant would like to split this lot into 3 lots to build single-family detached homes. These homes are proposed to be built to meet all the design requirements of the single-family detached homes in DROD Area 1. The surrounding land uses are in your staff report. According to FEMA maps, none of the properties located in the 100-year floodplain. Water and sanitary sewer are available from the city of Broken Arrow. Based on the surrounding land uses, staff recommends that PUD 1545-2024 be approved and that plating be waived. I'm open to answer any questions if you have any.
All right, thanks, Henry. Any questions, staff?
Nope.
Is the applicant present?
Yes.
You have anything you wish to add?
No, sir.
Okay. You guys got tired of sitting a while ago, huh?
Mm-hmm.
We had no one sign up.
Nobody signed up. I think it's ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve item 6D per staff recommendations.
Second.
Have a motion second, have a roll call vote.
Start voting. Mindy Payne?
Yes.
Jonathan Townsend?
Yes.
Jaylee Klimpa?
Yes.
Jason Goen?
Yes.
Robert Gornson?
Yes. I think that'll also go before the city council on July 15th, 6:30. Next item is item number 6E, 24-855.
Okay, we have Sir Chair and Commissioners. We have public hearing, consideration, and possible action regarding PUD 1561-2024, Hillside Villas. It's approximately 13.51 acres, zoned A1 2RD/PUD 1027, located 1/4 mile east of North Elm Avenue, 1/4 mile south of Omaha Street. This property is presently undeveloped and unplatted. PUD 1027 and BAZ 1052 were approved by City Council on November 7th, 2023. This rezoning and PUD were to facilitate a duplex development with private streets. After this approval, the developer approached staff about changing the development to a single-family detached development. This is why PUD 1561 has been submitted, which would allow the applicant to change the allowed uses to single-family detached homes. Other dimensional requirements are changed below. So the front setback in the zoning ordinance is 25 foot. The PUD proposal is 20 foot. The minimum side setback is 1 foot 10, one side 10, one side 5. In the PUD proposal, they have one side as a 0 foot setback, one side is a 3 foot setback. Maximum building height is 35 foot, 2.5 stories. The PUD proposal is to decrease that to 2 stories. Maximum lot coverage from the zoning ordinance is 50%, while in the PUD they're proposing to increase that to 56%. Exterior walls parallel to the property line shall have a fire resistance rating of 1 hour tested in accordance with the Section 703.3 of the International Building Code, with exposure from both sides where they are located within 3 foot of the property line. Openings, which would be windows, doors, vents, etc., shall not be permitted in exterior walls parallel and located within 3 foot of the property line. Projections shall have a fire resistant rating of 1 hour from the underside where they are located within 3 foot of the property line. These fire separation requirements will be required on the side of the house with a 0 foot side setback. Additionally, the applicant proposes that the 3 foot side setback be a maintenance easement. Structures will be built in accordance with the IRC, which is the International Residential Code. Vehicular access to this development is proposed to be provided through the extension of First Street from the north to the existing Scrub Street of East Indianapolis Street and the Country Lane Estates subdivision to the east. A private gated internal streets with 2 access points off of the public street extension between First Street and East Indianapolis Street will serve this development. First Street is a collector street, which gives the proposed development direct access to North Elm Avenue. PUD 1027-2023 allows for private streets through the development as shown in the conceptual exhibit. The surrounding land uses are shown in your staff reports, as well as the PUD provisions are established for one or more of the following purposes. Those 5 purposes are written in your staff report. And staff's opinion, PUD 1561, which is a major amendment to PUD 1027, satisfies items 3 and 5 by providing significant open space and amenities. According to FEMA maps, none of the properties located in the 100-year floodplain, water and sanitary sewer are available from the city of Broken Arrow. Based upon the comprehensive plan, the location of the property, and the surrounding land uses, staff recommends that PUD 1561 be approved, subject to the property being platted. I'm open to answer any questions if you have any.
All right, questions, staff?
Yes, I have a question. If this is going from residential duplex, wanting it to be changed, why would we not just change the zoning from RD to single family?
The lots are significantly smaller than a typical single-family development, so the PUD is necessary to reduce the lot sizes and also several other things that Henry listed out in the staff report. So it would not meet straight zoning criteria, so hence the reason for the PUD.
Okay.
So we're going to 0 and 3 side yards, right?
Yeah.
I
0 on one side, 3 on the other. The 3-foot would be a maintenance easement to allow each property owner to get down to maintain the side of their house, since it is a 0 foot.
That sure is not much, I know that.
No.
Any other questions? Is the applicant present? You have anything you wish to add?
No, sir, unless you have questions.
Yeah, I probably do. Why don't you come on up? I know I got one.
Why don't you do that?
Well, you haven't done it yet.
Yeah, well, why are you proposing to? Yes, sir.
We'll need your name.
Adrian Berryhill, yeah.
Pardon?
Adrian Berryhill.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was looking at the documents, of course, like we always do, and I guess, can you show that? It's like, I think it was C100 was the name of the drawing before. I don't know if it's in that exhibit or that,
Yeah.
I guess it's in that file.
Yeah, I couldn't get it to pull up on
That's
my
it right there, I
computer.
think.
Yeah.
So that was your original layout you were gonna do, right? And now you're doing the other one that we just saw. So let me ask you this. I see the road layout and it's got, and Jason, engineering might want to hear this because I'm not sure. I just want to bring this up. I look at your entrance and exit, the way it's easy to see the traffic, the cars coming. Now when you go to the other layout that we saw just a minute ago, I think it's down a couple right there. I'm really concerned about the upper right where you got the 2 lanes, which we required coming out. But you know, you're having to really turn your head over there to look at the traffic coming that way. Did y'all think about that?
Yes, actually, I've been working with Jason to come up with a approved site plan. This is just still conceptual.
It looks really tough. I just don't remember ever approving or recommending for approval anyone that close like that. But if the city's okay with it, I had to bring it up, you know.
Yeah. This is a radius that the city had asked us to actually get to. We had a different radius, and this is what they wanted us to do, so that's what we went with. This is what they would recommend.
So we'll push that entrance out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you're actually pulling out, if you got a car on the left that's going to turn left and a car turn right, that car's got to wait on the left for that person to get out of the way so they can see.
If you look up there, you can kind of see a radius that goes up more of a 90 degree. There's a hash line up there. That's pretty much where we were going to go with it. But then they wanted a more gradual radius, I guess, for large vehicles, fire trucks, things like that.
I'm just surprised you didn't have it shifted over towards middle, kind of like what you had on the previous drawing.
Right.
It was over to the other side, which looked a lot safer because you could see the traffic coming both ways.
I agree.
This one here, they're coming from.
I like the streets on the other one better.
Yeah.
The streets on the other one, if you can go back to that. There's certain criteria for the angle of entry that you can go into and out of a street. And on this one, the angle of entry is too steep. It has to be within between 85 to 95 degrees. So this one, we were more of a 45, which is not allowed, which is why they also moved it over more to the east. There's also a big storm pipe crossing that they'll need to look at, that they have taken that into account, which is also why it was shifted over more to the east.
Okay, that explains a lot.
Well, I can tell you what's going to happen on the other dual lane exit is if nobody's there, they're going to pull up and they're going to be angled like that so they can see that way before they turn left. That's going to happen. It happens a lot when you don't have a T intersection, so you see that. But I knew y'all must have blessed off on it, but I had to bring up my concern.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing that we're looking at with the second entrance on the east side is to reducing that or labeling that as a secondary entrance, which would not require the 3 lanes, and we'd have to work something out in the PUD to actually define that a little better.
Now, aren't those going to be gated, both of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what we'll do is the primary entrance, we're going to make it the one people want to go in and out of. And like he's saying, that's going to be our secondary.
Could you go back to that other drawing, please? Okay.
And I will say, in the PUD, it is a conceptual, so when we get through the plating, we'll get into the details on the engineering, fire access, all of those kind of things. So it is just conceptual for the PUD purposes tonight.
And I just want to make sure I voice my concern, because it doesn't look right to me, but as long as engineering in the city approves of it.
You know, I will speak to a point on this. It may be a compromise that would be good for everyone as far as public safety and so forth, like you're addressing. That corner that's kind of pie-shaped next to the entrance to the right that we're concerned about, that's actually platted at, we're planning on using that as a dog park.
I saw
so there's a possibility we could put in open fencing
right,
where there's pure visual all the way through there.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, that'd be a good solution for it, because it's for dogs. We don't need privacy fences, 8 foot or anything like that. We could do like a 4 or 5 foot fence.
And I know we have the side
Make it clear.
triangle that we work with, so and I'm sure that passed on that, because it curves away, so it's kind of, I think it's kind of 75 feet out or whatever that number is.
It actually would be a nice feature, actually, to have it fenced on that, around that corner. It'd be nice for the dogs and be able to see in and out and so forth. So.
Watchdog.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have a whole bunch of dogs right by the gate. Bunch of watchdogs.
Well, I just had concerns, and if it's preliminary conceptual, that's fine. I know engineering's working with it. I just had to voice my concern on it. So, any other discussions? Not a big fan of that 0.3 or 3 foot maintenance easement. That's tough.
It's tough to build too, but there is a need for it. There's a lot of people that want that. It's a very low maintenance turnkey subdivision, and this is 55 plus basically, and people just want to turnkey it. They don't want to mow the yard. They don't want to deal with it. So we're planning on
Couldn't get a mower back there anyway.
Well, correct. So
not for that 0.3.
You will be able to, but what we're doing is we're going to design these properties with side patios, so you actually create a really nice private space. So it will work. It'll be functional.
Where would you put the condensing unit if you only have?
Well, we have rears, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we don't want those on the bad area, but yeah, so we'll put them towards the rear.
Hey, you got, well,
what are you talking about? We're gonna put them on the roof. Come on.
Got a 3 foot easement. And 2.5 feet's covering the condenser.
Yeah, we'll put them in the rear. Yeah, we don't want to have them between the house anyway. It's too noisy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, did y'all have anything else you wanted to add?
No, sir.
Okay.
Sir, you in the blue shirt, you had made a comment. Can you just state your name for the record?
Jeff Lord.
Thank you.
The owner of Inspire Engineering.
Okay.
Any other questions, applicant? All right, thanks. No. I guess you have somebody that wishes to speak, or
I had someone sign up. They did not wish to speak, but they did want to voice their opposition. Becca Harden.
Okay.
All right, you're good. Thanks.
Thank you.
You're going to close it.
I guess we'll close the public hearing. So any other discussion? Ready to make a motion?
No, I'll make a motion to approve item 6E per staff recommendations.
I'll second.
I have a motion, second, I have a roll call vote.
Mindy Payne?
Yes.
Jonathan Townsend?
Yes.
Jaylee Klimpa?
Yes.
Jason Cohen?
Yes.
Robert Gornson?
Yes. That'll go before the city council on July 15th here at 6:30. All right, next item is item number F, 6F 24-856.
Yes, item 6F. This is the public hearing consideration and possible action regarding BAZ 1321-2024, Northside Christian Church, 1.81 acres, CH to CN, approximately 1/4 mile north of Kenosha Street, east of Elm Place. BAZ 1321-2024 is a rezoning request that involves 1.81 acre lot and proposes to change from commercial heavy to commercial neighborhood. The property is located north of Kenosha Street on Elm Place and is platted as Lot 1, Block 1, Northside Christian Church. The property will maintain street frontage along Elm Place and meets all the minimum requirements outlined in the current zoning code. The applicant is requesting to rezone this lot in coordination with an approved lot split in order to prepare for a change of occupancy. The applicant and staff have had multiple meetings about the potential occupancy of the building located on this property, and recently applications have been submitted to change the occupancy from a church to a daycare. Currently, the existing building on the property cannot be occupied as a daycare, but plans have been submitted that would bring the building into compliance and facilitate the change of occupancy. The applicant has been made aware this building cannot be used for child care facility use type until the building is in compliance. The surrounding land uses are in your packet. FEMA maps show that none of the property is in the 100-year floodplain. A blue line stream does cross the eastern section of the proposed southern lot. And finally, our recommendation, based on the comprehensive plan, location of the property, and surrounding land uses, staff recommends that BAZ 1321-2024 be approved, subject to new warranty deeds being recorded at Tulsa County, which was completed today. I'm here for questions.
All right, thanks, Jill. So if it was approved, of course, we were recommended by the city council that was approved, everything would be compliant then, right? Okay. Any questions, staff? Is the applicant present?
Applicant's present, and nothing further to add.
Okay, thanks. I'll close the public hearing now. All right, so we're ready for a motion.
I make a motion that item 6F be approved per staff recommendation.
I second.
Have a motion, second, have a roll call vote.
Mindy Payne?
Yes.
Jonathan Townsend?
Yes.
Jaylee Klimpa?
Yes.
Jason Cohen?
Yes.
Robert Goranson?
Yes. That'll go before the city council July 15th. All right. Next item, 6G 24-858.
Yes, this is a public hearing, consideration, and possible action regarding BAZ 1459-2024 rezoning, Broken Arrow West, approximately 109.55 acres, A1 agricultural to RS3 single-family residential, located west of the 193rd East Avenue, County Line Road, 23rd Street, and 1/8 mile south of Jasper Street, 131st. I did receive an email today from the applicant asking to continue this item to July the 21st or July the 25th. Due to scheduling issues, they could not be present here tonight.
So,
So did anybody sign up to
we
speak
did.
on this?
We had several people sign up. There were 7 people signed up. Some wished to speak, some did not. It's up to the planning commission how you would like to, if you want to go ahead and hear public comments, or if you want to table the item and wait. There is contact information on all of these forms, so staff could reach out and just make sure that everyone's aware that the meeting is continued, or the public hearing is continued. It's however you'd like to proceed.
So did everybody catch that the applicant for this item on the agenda has requested to table it to July 24th? That those of you that wanted to speak?
25th.
25th? Is anybody here that wished to speak on this item? That signed up? Do you want us to talk tonight, or do you want to come back July 25th instead?
Both.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I would, yeah.
All right.
I would agree we give them the opportunity to
I do
speak.
too. gives us something to think about between now and then.
Mhm.
So is there
And the
any-
applicant.
So we'll go ahead and open the public hearing, and we'll,
Yeah, so I'll call everybody up one at a time. The applicant is not here to give a presentation or rebut, so this will be for informational only at this point. So first up is Jared Mann, wishes to speak in opposition.
I'm going to hold until the applicant's here, but I
Okay.
do have a question about the 300.
Please come up to the mic.
Turn the microphone.
Yeah, sorry.
Name's Jared Mann, and I have a, you guys mentioned the 300-foot mailing rule. So for a rural area like this, where there are no homes in that 300-foot area, what about the people that are going to be affected that are outside that 300-foot rule?
So state statutes require that we notify all property owners within 300 feet. We also publish a newspaper notice in the Tulsa World or Wagner County Tribune if it's in Wagner County. We also post those big yellow signs on the property to give people as much notice as possible.
Which I understand that, and with the yellow sign, you know, I had talked with somebody earlier. It only has to be on one side, but you're also excluding the people that also live on Jasper, and this is going to potentially back up to their property, and they have no involvement in this at all.
So the people to the property, if it's a separate property owner to the north, they would have received a notice since they're within that 300 feet. We can only notify on the subject tract. So since this actually has no frontage on Jasper Street, we can't go put a sign on somebody else's property for rezoning for property to the south.
Well,
So that's why that
I understand
sign
that.
goes there.
And so the 300-foot rule only applies to where the entrance is going to be located, correct?
It's from the boundary of the property in question. So where you see those dashed lines all the way around 300
Yeah,
feet.
300 feet
around
from
that.
there,
All the way-
all the way
Okay, so
around.
even the property on Jasper there, Kingsport, all of those people would have been notified, correct?
If they're within the 300 feet
300
radius.
feet.
But if their property falls out just side of that 300 feet,
Then they would
but
not
see,
be
what, where would you stop at? Half a mile away, 5 miles
well,
away?
but I
Does
mean,
that make
in a
sense?
rural area, it would have to be something reasonable. You know, when you talk about a dense area for the people that were here earlier,
Well, and the
it's a whole
300 foot's probably
neighborhood.
reasonable, and the same with the newspaper, et cetera.
Well, how many people read newspapers? Everything's digital.
Yeah,
So I
you can
understand
get-
that's.
yeah. Well, I've got a Tulsa World.
It
I
comes down
understand,
to, it's
but-
a state statute. It's a
I understand.
requirement by law that we do that.
For sure,
And we
absolutely.
can't make them do any more than what's required by
Understood.
the law.
So,
But
awesome. Well, like I said,
thank
I
you.
will withdraw and wait for Alan Betchen to be here.
Okay,
Perfect.
all right, thanks.
Okay. Ed Blake. I'm sorry, guys. I can't pronounce names.
That's okay.
Ed, I'll let you say your last name.
You always do a better job than I would.
That's all right. It's not about, it's Ed Belserak. I'm on the board of the River Ridge Homeowners Association. We are east of the development on 141st Street. Currently, ground has been broken on 115 lots just due east of the Golf Club Oklahoma, and that's done by Grassland Development. That's already in the works. And then on the northeast corner of 141st and County Line Road, the Wagner County Commissioners have approved approximately 105 lots with light commercial going in there. As of now, the traffic's a nightmare out there. And just getting out of your additions, going north on County Line Road during rush hour, coming south on County Line Road, traffic is just backed up. And so if you took those two additions and just figured 2 drivers per household, that comes to 235 more drivers on the road, or vehicles on the road. And that does not include the commercial vehicles, which there's heavy tractor trailer traffic out there in the morning. And also, we are opposed to this development being R3. We would be opposed to the whole thing, but we would consider R1. And I would ask the council to please consider that request due to the traffic. It's a 2-lane road, and it's a nightmare waiting to happen. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
All right, thanks.
All right. Next up, we have Michael Egan. After me, Michael will be John Barber.
Hi, for the record, I'm Michael Egan. Our property is at 151st and County Line Road, just a little bit south of this proposed development. And as probably all you folks know, sand trucks go up and down that road all day long. At each intersection, the roads are literally buckling from those trucks. And any additional traffic out there is going to be problematic, to say the least. I know that there's probably plans in the works to repair the roads. And the infrastructure, there's no sewer, no water out in that area yet. I don't know if all of this has been looked at and proposed. I'd like to have the developer here to be able to respond to some of this, but how much is the city responsible for as far as water and sewer and the infrastructure? Is that all on the developer?
Yeah, so the developer will be required to bring all infrastructure to the site and provide services within the development.
Okay.
They'll do that in coordination with the city, of course. But.
And I know you've heard this all night long about the traffic. The traffic is just getting bigger and bigger in Broken Arrow. I mean, we've been...
So there was a survey that went out last month, correct? I certainly hope that you all said, yes, we would support improvements on these roads, because these roads were mentioned.
Yes.
So just a little plug out there in TV land.
That would be awesome.
Do the surveys.
Yeah.
No, it was online.
It's online.
Broken Arrow. The city of Broken Arrow. If you're here, most likely you're the city of Broken Arrow. So, well,
right,
you need to go to the city of Broken Arrow, but.
That was our main concern, is just the added traffic, and I know you've heard that all night long.
Yeah.
And development in Broken Arrow has been huge. My wife's family has been here since the 50s, and she said when she went to high school, I think there was like 11,000 people out here. Now we've got, what, 122, 25,000?
I moved here in 1970, it was 11,000, so it was probably 3,000 when she was here.
Yeah. So we've seen a lot of development, and for the most part, great. It's been great for the city, and we're really proud of Broken Arrow. It's a great community to raise kids in. We have a great school system. Police force is just unmarveled. I mean, it's great. Fire protection, everything is really, really good here. But I just want to make sure that we take into consideration adding another 400 homes in the middle of really agricultural area. I mean,
but you also got to think that, I think, that just there's got to be a reason to actually go out there and redo the roads, expand, put the middle lane down there and stuff. And if there's, this is just a zoning request tonight, which we're going to table anyway.
Correct.
But the zoning eventually will bring the houses out there. And the house is going to bring the traffic, and the city needs to do something then.
Right.
But if it just sits there and nobody's moving out there, nothing, it's at the bottom of the list, if that makes sense.
Right.
And that's why she was referring to the survey that went out saying, what streets do you want to have redone?
Have enhancements.
Yeah.
Enhancements and improvements.
And so you have more people that may be living out there one day. They could go out there and say, hey, come help us out with these roads.
It's our turn.
Because there's a need.
Because there's not that many out there now.
Exactly.
There really
exactly.
are. So.
And right now you also got to look at, it's what, 2 miles to get from here to the turnpike. So that's a short drive to a lot of people, but I know it's going to impact the traffic too.
Yeah. And traffic is a big deal too. As we've all heard all night long, traffic. So.
Yeah, if I remember right, that's what, four stop signs at each intersection get to the turnpike.
Right in front of the house, they put a stop sign. Yep. All right, folks, thank you. I appreciate all your service to our city.
But we're not going to make a decision tonight. This is going to be tabled to the next.
Correct.
So you get another chance to talk.
All right. Oh, great. Maybe I'll get good at this.
No,
Thank
you did
you.
good. You did good.
Thank you so much.
All right, John Barber, and next up will be Carol Belk.
Carol should go first, but that's okay. John Barber, my wife and I moved here about 2 years ago and absolutely love it. It's become home and traffic, so I'll just start with that. I think it's pretty inconsiderate of the applicant to submit a request for suspension at the last minute. I've been here since 5:30, and now I got to come back. I'd really like to know, where does the city stand? Do you support this application?
Would you like to speak to the recommendation in the staff report? I can't remember if we put one in since,
I didn't hear one.
yeah, we didn't read the full staff report since we knew the applicant wasn't going to be here and they decided to continue the item.
I believe it's recommended for staff for approval.
Based on the comprehensive plan, the location of the property, the surrounding land uses, staff recommends that BAZ 001459-2024 be approved, subject to plating.
So are you familiar with the comprehensive plan?
Yes.
Okay, so you probably looked at it too online?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what we got, that's our guiding principle, right? And so the city staff, they look at that, they look at all the other stuff, and they give us a recommendation, and we discuss it, we have a public hearing on it. So we might approve it, we might not approve it, I don't know. But if we approve it, it's for, we're recommending body, it goes on to city council for their approval.
No, I understand.
So it's also, if it's in the comprehensive plan and they're meeting everything for the comprehensive plan, it's kind of hard to say no. You got to have good reason. And I'm not saying there's not good reasons, but you got to also have good reason.
But this is for zoning.
Right.
So.
But if you look at the comprehensive plan,
And I'm like,
does the comprehensive plan list the level? It says level 2 and it says allowed and permitted. If it says RS3, is that what this one was, I think? If it says permitted, there's got to be good reason to say no. And we're not, there's not a moratorium that I know of right now anyway. So the zoning, is it fair to hold this property hostage just because there's some traffic out there? That's something that hopefully the city could work out.
Well, I mean, it's fair to consider what the other residents.
I understand,
and how
yeah.
they would be impacted.
Right.
We've had, our water lines busted. We've gone without electricity, because of these other developments that are going on. This is a pretty huge development.
I understand, yeah.
Very small lots that are probably going to impact property values.
And I'm not saying there's not a good reason. Don't get me wrong. We've denied some before too, so.
But I just think that, everything needs to be considered. And, and again, is this Roush Coleman that's doing this?
I don't believe so. We haven't been notified of the developer, but the engineer they work with is not, they don't typically work with Roush Coleman.
All right, well, thank you. I will be back.
And I just want to state something real quick to everybody. When people, I've heard it mentioned a couple times about property values either going up, going down, whatever. For us, that is speculation, and we cannot make a decision based off of that. So, just for information and education.
Next up is Carol Belk. After that will be Ron. I will let you state your last name.
Well, we have deer and red fox, and we just had a.
Can you state your name?
In our Carol Belk, River Ridge subdivision. I'm the president of the homeowners subdivision there. And our concern is, of course, the traffic, but it's the zoning. We would like to see this property zoned R1 instead of R3 because of the multitude of homes that are going in there, like 458 homes, I believe, that they mentioned last month when we were here for the meeting. I like what Jonathan Townsend, Mr. Jonathan Townsend mentioned to the person that's opposing this or that wants to build. He mentioned R1 and R2, and he came back with it's not financial feasible, but I think it could be financially feasible having less homes on the amount of lots that they want to build. We've been there for 40 years. That whole corner has been agricultural for the amount of time that I've lived there. And now 3 big, huge subdivisions are going up as of this year. So it is kind of a shocker, but I understand progress and I understand your situation. But I think the zoning could be better than trying to do an R3 with about 458 homes and 100 and some acres of land. Also, I don't know if there's been a survey for a trafficking engineering survey taken place yet. Has anybody heard of that, done that at all? Any of you people?
So what we're hearing right now is a zoning case, so land use only. Assuming that if this were to get approved, there would be several steps they need to go through. One of those is the engineering design process.
Right.
So through that process, if it's determined that based on traffic counts that a traffic study is required, then it would be required at that time.
Right.
But that's something that comes later on in the development process.
And can I just get some feedback on what you guys think of it, R1 instead of R3? What are you in favor of? What can we get from the feedback from you people?
So the request comes
Well-
from the applicant for the zoning. So the planning commission can't change the applicant's request. They can approve, they can deny, they could continue.
Right.
But they couldn't come back and say, you asked for RS3, so we'll only approve RS1. So
Okay.
Just from the staff side, RS1 is not supported by the current comprehensive plan level 2. So they could do RS2 or RS3, which would be allowed by right in level 2. Just for, so just to clarify, so it's comprehensive plan level 2, which on the land use intensity system does not allow RS1.
Oh, the land.
So what he's saying is based on the comprehensive plan, which is what staff uses to determine our recommendations. So we go based on the plans that the city has adopted. Our personal feelings have nothing to do with it. But based on the comprehensive plan, this is level 2, which is urban residential, which supports different zoning districts. So in that table, if that zoning district is not supported, staff could not recommend approval of a change to that. So what he's saying is RS1 is not allowed in level 2 of the comprehensive plan. So if they were to come in and ask for a change to RS1, staff would recommend denial because it would not be in line with the comprehensive plan. Does
So
that make
R2
sense?
sounds a little, is that?
R2 would be possible.
Would be possible instead of R3.
Yeah,
And
but
I guess
again,
that's
up to the
what
applicant.
we are looking at. We have acreage in our subdivision. It's been established. It's nice homes there. And I think across the street, there's a nice subdivision going up, but then there's like 80-some homes in my backyard. But 458 and that 110 acres, R3, that's a little crowded. Not even, referring to the traffic. I mean, I'm looking at the zoning right now, besides the traffic. So I just want you guys to consider us, and the people around and the people that spoke and will be here next month too, to let you guys know, just to look at it, take a ride out when you're going out to Sanders. Go to your left east on 141 and you'll see our subdivision that's been out there, and 2 other subdivisions, or 3, that are ready to go up on that corner. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Ron, and then last but not least, we will have Kevin Tico.
It's like the drum with a CH, Schnare. Anyway, good evening. I'm Ron Schnare, and I live right across the street from this proposed zoning change. I want to thank you tonight for the opportunity to address you. Just sitting here in observance of my first meeting, thank you for the sensitivity and the level of detail that you guys go into. It's admirable. A couple brief comments. All the speakers previously stole all my thunder. So I'm reiterating just a couple of things, but I would just paint a picture for you. If you don't, if you haven't spent much time out on that end of town, the south end of Broken Arrow, right? County Line Road, right? A shared, who takes care of this road? Is this half Wagner County? This half is Tulsa County? This part's in Broken Arrow city limits, so everyone has to debate on who shares the asphalt, right? But if you visualize this from 131st going north and think of a long funnel, okay? 141st being the tip of it and the Creek Turnpike being the mouth. This development is going to pack the bottom of that funnel with traffic. I turn directly off county line to get into my neighborhood. And the speaker that spoke of the heavy traffic, meaning the big truck traffic from the sand plant, it's tremendous. And it's from sunup to close of business 5 days a week. And so you think about that many homes, and it's probably, when they're all said and done, and what happens around the corner, we're probably talking a couple thousand cars a day, right? And I get it. There's room for expansion, but don't forget, major power transmissions lines that cross that road. It is a huge undertaking, and that will probably be another debate on who takes on that financial responsibility, right? Whether it's the state, the county, the city. So as the recommending body here, I'm asking you guys to consider recommending RS2 for this. It seems like that's the best I can get. That probably helps mitigate a little bit the traffic flow, the risk to public safety. I get it. I did go online, by the way. Madam Kempla did the survey, advocated for improvements and signalizing things and widening things and whatever we can do.
Yes.
So appreciate that. But it obviously nothing happens quickly.
Yeah.
And those intersections, like the previous speaker mentioned now, they're washboarded hard, right? You take an 80-some thousand pound truck barreling down, trying to come to a stop, and now you've got 450 new homes and teenage drivers, and you can imagine what the local news will get to cover. Thank you, guys. We appreciate all you do.
Thank you.
And Kevin.
Hello, my name's Kevin Tiekle. I spoke last month. I guess I'll speak again next month. So I developed the neighborhood that Ron lives in, just on the east side of county line, right across from this property. I'll reiterate just the traffic concerns that everybody else has said. You know, I think it was pretty well covered by everybody. My concern with the zoning is just the density of it. You know, I think they mentioned last time it was going to be 458 homes or something like that, and 109 acres, which they admitted. So some of that is uninhabitable. I don't know if 10, 15 acres of that's uninhabitable. So you're looking at probably, you know, lots that are less than 10,000 square feet, and that doesn't include the roads going through there too. So those are pretty small lots. If you look at the housing in that general area, you know, everything else around there is R1, R2. So, and like others mentioned, there's other developments that are happening just south of there. I think that developer mentioned in the last meeting that they were going to develop the property just on the south of this property as well. So we're definitely concerned about the density that they're going after. We all understand, you know, development, and we're pro-development. I developed that neighborhood just like I said on the east side, but I would say, you know, if we could drop the density a little bit, I think we'd be a little happier. Again, you know, at the number of lots they're talking about, we're probably talking another 600-900 cars a day going down that road. So, you know, we mentioned traffic. I did do the survey as well. I told everyone I knew to do the survey, family, everybody else. So, but there's a lot of roads on that survey. So I don't know how much money you have or the city has to actually do anything with that. But anything that can be done to help reduce that density, I think we would appreciate it.
So when you take the survey and you put whatever roads that you would support, that's how they get on the GO bond.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
And that survey ended June 26th, by the way.
Yeah, I think it's over, right? So.
That's why I said last
I was
time.
glad to see the survey, though. It was nice to see that we had the opportunity to put input. So
I did it as soon as I saw it come out.
All right, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that it?
That was the last person signed up to speak.
Well, the applicant's on here, so I'll just go ahead and close the public hearing.
Yep.
I do have a question, though. Did staff happen to look, just to think about this before the next meeting, comparing the RS2 to the RS3? Just, did you look at any, like,
I didn't run the
number?
calculations. We can have those ready. We can add those to the staff report if you'd like.
That might be, just so we can talk about it, you know,
Okay.
go
Yep,
from there.
we can do that. Show the calculations between the
Because this is
different-
straight zoning, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, that'd be good. Any questions from staff?
Nope.
Well, we're not going to discuss anymore because this is going to go on to July 25th. I think somebody's going to make that motion, and so we'll talk about it more then.
I make a motion, Chair, to table this to July 25th per the request of the applicant.
Second, I have motion second, a roll call vote.
Mindy Payne,
Yes.
Jonathan Townsend,
Yes.
Jaylee Klimpa,
Yes.
Jason Cohen,
Yes.
Robert Gorson.
Yes. And that'll come back here July 25th at 6:30.
At 5:30.
I'm sorry, 5:30.
5:30.
It might be 6:30 before we get to it. No, we start at 5:30. Better come here at 5:30.
Thank y'all for coming out and waiting.
Next item on the agenda is item number 6I.
H.
6H. 24-867.
Don't add more things, please.
Yes, this is our last item. Public hearing consideration and possible action regarding PUD 1546 2024, 421 East Elgin, approximately .24 acres, 2 proposed lots, DROD Area 2, R3, located approximately 1/8 mile south of Kenosha Street and 1/8 mile west of 9th Street. PUD 1546 2024 is a proposal to request variances from the City of Broken Arrow's zoning ordinance and downtown residential overlay district, specifically requirements related to the single-family residential design standards in the DROD. The subject property is approximately .24 acres and is located at 421 East Elgin Street, which is west of 9th Street and south of Kenosha Street. In 2022, a building permit was issued to construct the two-family dwelling at the property location, and in 2023, the structure was completed and as it stands today, meets the minimum requirements of the two-family residential design standards outlined in the DROD for Area 2. These design standards were adopted to provide high-quality residential designs within the overlay district by modifying the current zoning ordinance to promote and the protection of established neighborhoods while accommodating infill and increased residential densities. The DROD standards are intended to implement the comprehensive plan, promote high-quality urban design and walkability, respond to the context and key features, respect established development patterns. Development patterns include lot size and depth, building widths, and architectural features, which are important in determining a neighborhood's design traditions and physical characteristics. The proposed PUD is seeking variances in order to facilitate a lot split, which would create 2 lots and separate the two-family dwelling into 2 single-family homes with a shared wall. The reason stated for this PUD application is to give the property owner the capability to sell the residences separately. Area 2 of the DROD does support both single-family and two-family residential homes. I'm not going to go over the deviations from the single-family residential design standards. There's quite a few. I do want to just clarify that as it currently stands, it's a two-family dwelling, and then we're going to go to a single-family. So there will be 2 different units, and each unit will have different variations from those design standards. So the first is the lot area. Currently, for single-family, that is 5,500 square feet minimum. The proposal is 4,500 square feet. The lot frontage is 80-foot max, 35-foot minimum. For Unit 1, they're proposing 75 feet. For Unit 2, they're proposing 60 feet. The lot coverage is a 55% maximum. For Unit 1, they'll be proposing 36%. And for Unit 2, they'll be proposing 48%. Front setbacks and build-to zones. The current standard is a 15-foot minimum with a 65% of the front wall is required to be placed within 10 foot of the required front setback. And they're proposing a 15-foot. The side setback is currently 5-foot minimum. For corner lots, the side and of the primary structure that does not have the primary entrance may be set back 15 foot from the property line. The proposal for Unit 1 is 5 feet on the west side, 0 feet on the south side, and for Unit 2, 0 feet on the north side and 10 feet on the west side. The rear setback current standards are a 10-foot minimum for corner lots. The side with the primary structure that does not have the primary entrance may be set back 15 feet from the property line. If an alley is present, the rear setback is a 2-foot minimum. For Unit 1, they are not changing anything. For Unit 2, they're proposing 5 feet. And also another consideration for you all is moving from the two-family to the single-family increases a lot of the things, the standards that are allowed as well. Continuing on, garage and carport location. Currently, there is a 35-foot minimum setback from the front of the property line, and shall not project forward from the frontmost wall of the primary structure. They are proposing in Unit 1 for a 31.5 foot and for Unit 2, 49 feet. Next is access and driveway width. Currently, it's a 25-foot max, only 18-foot wide until the driveway within 20 feet of the garage entry. For both units, they're proposing 16 feet. And then finally, the final variance they're proposing is for building height. Currently, as it stands, it's 2 stories with 35-foot max. If a half story is above the second floor, the half story must be contained within the roof. They're proposing just a straight 2 stories. Lounge uses surrounding it, it's all residential. According to FEMA, none of the property is a 100-year floodplain. The approval of a PUD requires that the proposal meet the following purposes: to permit and encourage innovative land development while maintaining appropriate limitations on the character and intensity of use and assuring compatibility with adjoining and approximate properties. 2, to permit greater flexibility within the development to best utilize physical features of the particular site in exchange for greater benefit to the public and than would otherwise be achieved through development under this ordinance. 3, to encourage the provision and preservation of meaningful open space. 4, to encourage integrated and unified design and function of various uses comprising the planned unit development. 5, to encourage a more productive land use consistent with the public objective and standards of accessibility, safety, infrastructure, and land use compatibility. Finally, the recommendation based on the PUD requirements listed above, staff finds this PUD proposal does not meet any of the stated purposes for these reasons. First, the property is currently in compliance with the design standards of the DROD, already aligned with the purposes listed as 1, 4, and 5, and this proposal would deviate from the established development patterns intended by the DROD. Next, the proposal will not provide a greater public benefit by facilitating a property sale which only benefits a single entity. And finally, the proposal will not encourage or preserve open space. For these reasons, staff recommends PUD 1546-2024 be denied. I'm here for questions.
All right, thanks, Joel. Any questions, staff?
Just a clarifying question. There wasn't a PUD or anything requested when this was built 3 years ago, correct?
No.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks. Is the applicant present? Yeah, you have anything you wish to add?
So yeah, what we would like to add is,
Go ahead and give us your name for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry, Adrian Berry Hilligan, yep. So henceforth, we just had the Hillside Villas discussion. This is why. We propose that to be a duplex community to be able to build and create really nice, high-end, single-family homes. In order to do that, we have to be able to sell them. Well, this became an issue that I became aware of. I have built those properties in downtown Broken Arrow with the intention of selling to single-family homes with adjoining wall. And so in that, we built the properties, we built them as they were permitted and platted and so forth. And in the time of completion, we started marketing the properties to sell individually, not knowing there was going to be an issue of actually splitting or creating an abstract to be able to convey title. Dr. Alley up here is a cardiologist from Edmond, moved up with St. Francis. He has contracted the property on the north side, the 421 East Elgin, for purchase. The reason why we're standing here is his mortgage company is requiring some way to be able to convey ownership of the north property side. That's why we're asking for a split. Properties are built, they're built as permitted and inspected as agreed to build. But I can't convey a property to sell These are 3,000 foot properties. They're very, very nice. And my intention was to bring professional type people into the downtown Broken Arrow area. Since this little hiccup happened, I, for financial reasons, needed to move some cash flow. So I started Airbnb-ing them, and they were very successful. However, we're running 20, 30 people a month in one unit. Lots of families in and out from all over the United States. To me personally, that doesn't make a lot of, I mean, I know a lot of people do it, but I know a lot of cities are trying to get away from Airbnb. But, so that was my purpose initially, was to actually sell these properties, build them and create two really nice high-end properties in downtown Broken Arrow. And so we've been trying to get a deed created for Dr. Alley to be able to purchase the home. He currently lives in the home. And he's agreed to help support some of the financial costs for it right now, so I'm not varying. I currently live in the south unit, pending this situation of what we're trying to do. So really what we're trying to do, we're not changing anything in Broken Arrow. The house is built, it's beautiful. There's two properties. There are two 3,000 foot single family homes, 2-car garages. They don't stick out other than they're nice properties. And we're trying to be able to convey, is all we're doing. We're trying to convey the property to an owner. That was my plan all along, and I missed it somewhere. Hence, that's why we redeveloped Hillside Villas, so we don't have a neighborhood with 122 units with the same problem. Because, I mean, you'd have to buy the entire property to be able to finance, and that's kind of where we're at. And so that's what we're here for tonight, is to see if we can get a split. And the only difference, as far as the city of Broken Arrow residents would know, is that we ask for a variance so we can convey property. The property's not changing, it's not doing anything, it's there, it's a nice addition to the city of Broken Arrow. Just trying to accommodate his wants, my desire to convey, and move forward. So that's kind of my position on it.
Yeah, one of the things, Jeff Lord with Inspire Engineering, one of the things that I found out is that actually the current is out of compliance. There's a setback that's not met on the garage. It's 31 and a half feet, and should be 35.
And so we were just basically trying to do a one-for-one exchange, basically.
Doing one approved use for another approved use. Both are out of compliance. We just want the variance to go ahead and split it.
And be able to create an abstract that we could convey title to Mr. Allen, Dr. Allen. And then I would like to sell the other unit as well. I do not want to be in the Airbnb business in downtown Broken Arrow. That's not my desire as an owner and investor. And so I'd like to be able to split them so we can sell to two families.
So is this something that could have come before the Board of Adjustments?
If there's an issue with one of the garage setbacks, yes, that could go to the Board of Adjustment. So from staff's perspective, and the reason we're recommending denial is if it was the intention to build two single families from the start, why did we not start that way?
Yeah.
From staff's perspective, we don't want to do modifications to the zoning ordinance to a single parcel for no public benefit, no reason. There's no criteria in the zoning ordinance that says we can, just for profitability of lots, be able to split them. So
well,
that's where staff's coming from.
Here's the thing is, it was an oversight. As a builder, I've built hundreds of homes in Broken Arrow, you know that. It was an oversight. I got the two permits issued to me. We built them as we submitted. And my understanding, it was the first time I've done any development in the downtown resident, the DRO. Okay, so it's new to me. And so I didn't realize that when I was issued two building permits and two addresses, that I was going to have to split it in order to convey a property. So it was an oversight on my part, but I was unaware of it. And so that's why I'm asking for a variance to help me so I don't have, one, a financial burden. It's a hardship for me because that wasn't my intention. I built the properties with all the utilities as separate utilities, with everything separate. It's completely separate. The only thing that isn't is an adjoining wall. And so we're just asking for a variance on this one, not saying, hey, change all the scope of downtown Broken Arrow's comprehensive plan, just one variance, and help me put two good families in this property, rather than bringing revolving doors, which in my opinion is not in the benefit of Broken Arrow in terms of bringing people from all over the place and parking 30 cars down the driveway. That's a problem for B&Bs. I mean, when they rent a B&B, especially a 3,000 footer, they got 30 cars parked down the road for days. And so, to me, I'd rather have professional people such as Dr. Alley and other people living in these homes and taking care of them and not congesting roads. Elgin and North 4th Street, they're very, very busy, very busy. And so it's hard to get through there sometimes. And I literally had to go over to them when I was Airbnb and I was neighboring. I'd go over to the other side and say, hey guys, can you move your cars around? Your black people can't see the stop signs. They got, vans, SUVs, stuff like that. So in my opinion, 2 single families in those residences is perfectly what it's designed for. So that's what I'm asking for. We're really just looking for paper. We're just looking for paper. We're not really wanting to change anything. We're just trying to be able to convey and move that direction.
Any questions, applicant?
No.
All right, thanks. We'll give you a chance here. We got some
Thanks,
people
sir.
that want to talk.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
So I'll open this up, public hearing. We got, I think, 3 people that want to talk.
Yes, we do. First, Adrian, or Adriana. Sorry.
She's the doctor.
Can Seth go first? You go first? Or does it matter?
Well, hold on a second. Let me look.
I'm sorry. What was the question?
Oh, we'll let Seth talk first.
Okay. Seth.
I changed the paperwork on her, so yeah, we can let Seth talk first.
We can change the order. That's all right.
Hi, Seth Eldridge. I live same square block within the Rose District. My chief issue is the precedent that this sets, that it would allow any fly-by-night, not that these guys are fly-by-night builders, but any nefarious builder to come in, ignore the rules, whether it's intentional or unintentional, and basically this committee and the city council would bail them out at the end. Obviously, they're beautiful homes, right? They did a wonderful job. And I don't necessarily know that tearing them down is the correct option here. I don't know if there is another option, but I see it as not just on them, right? The city inspected it, the city approved the setbacks. I feel like the city is also somewhat responsible, and maybe that's my opinion and I'm misguided, I don't know on that. Secondarily, our square block also has a water issue. When you reduce the setbacks, you reduce the area in which water can flow. And my house lives kind of at the low point within the block. And every time it rains, I have to go shovel the alley back into the alley. And it's gotten worse since this was built with smaller setbacks, with shorter garages. All of that water goes into the alley, down the alley, into my garage. At times, my garage floods. I've got an electric vehicle that's supposed to charge in standing water. That doesn't seem safe. I've got a 3-month-old at home. What if he runs out in the garage? At some point, obviously not 3 months, but at some point. So those are my chief concerns: is one, the precedent that it sets, and two, if the city is at all responsible and they approve this going forward, I would like the city to address the water concerns, whether that be through addressing the alley and paving it, or setting up some sort of drain, like coming in and addressing the water issue that the whole block is seeing. So thank you all. I appreciate it. I know it's been a long night, and you guys are great. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
All right.
We do appreciate what you do. We now have seen what you do, so we appreciate it. I'm Adrienne Steinacker. I live next door to Adrian Berryhill. It is a beautiful home. I have the same concern that Seth is. As the home was being built, they brought in a lot of, I didn't know you were supposed to bring in fill dirt. We thought you weren't supposed to bring in a lot of fill dirt. So we called and the city just kind of, whatever. And so their house is a lot higher than ours. We haven't seen a lot of issues. I know Mr. Berryhill said he would fix it if we did, so we appreciate that. But if he sells and we start seeing issues, we have nobody to help us deal with it, right? This is all kind of new. But our other deal is, where did someone just let this go? You know what I mean? That's our concern. It's kind of what Seth said is, it was allowed to be built. I don't know who regulates these. I mean, obviously you think the same way. But somebody should have caught this before this house is built. And it does take up most of all the, it's not, obviously not in compliance, but that you've already seen all that. So it's just basically, where are we going to stop? You know what I mean? That's our concern. So what you do is different, but where you're going to stop is what we wanted to say. Please help, because it's beautiful down there and y'all have done a great job. So that makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I will clarify, one of her questions was who regulates, the city does regulate the building permits that come through our department. We were made aware tonight that maybe one of the garage setbacks is incorrect, and if that's true and that was permitted, then yes, that would be on the city. But as far as this being built as a duplex, it meets all the other criteria. So
Right.
it did go through a review. It does meet everything,
that does
except
fit.
for maybe that garage that was brought to our attention tonight.
So really, the difference is just that he wants to sell them as 2 units.
Right.
Was where the change
So,
came. Is that what you're
yeah.
saying?
So
yes,
what
and
he's
I do
asked-
know that's duplex area.
Yeah.
That's definitely duplex.
So right now they're constructed as duplex. If this PUD is approved tonight, you won't see any difference.
No,
in the
I
property.
understand
So
that.
it'll just be
No,
whether
we
you
understand.
sell
We're just
north and
thinking,
south together.
so builders can just come in and then ask forgiveness later. That's what we're thinking. Is that going to be the stand? You know what I mean? We didn't want
Correct.
to see that
And we
happening
have
in Broken
had
Arrow all the
this
time.
conversation. Yeah.
A reasonable request?
Yeah.
As that's what our concern is.
Yeah.
Is that people will just start, because they're down there all the time looking for that property to build, and it's prime property. And he built a beautiful home, but we just don't want that to be the precedence.
Right.
In Broken Arrow, and we don't
understand.
know how. We wanted to bring that to your attention.
Right.
Okay, that was our deal.
Thank
Makes
you.
sense?
Mhm.
Thanks, Shelley.
Frank Horton was the last person who signed up to speak.
Frank Horton, 226 East Detroit, so I live 2 streets down. First of all, let me say that one of the things that's not mentioned in the standards of the DROD, if you're absent a homeowners association like I am, that DROD is actually kind of an advocate for me. It is a set of standards that's 83 pages long. Okay, I own 4 pieces of property over there. I would like those pieces of property to be protected by that DROD. This property can be conveyed, it just has to be conveyed as a duplex the way it was actually built and permitted. Another thing that's not addressed in our PUD plan there is you got utilities that if that lot's crossed, those utilities go across somebody else's property now, and there's no utility easements to cover those. Just something for you to think about. But the PUD also says that the only potential impact is that it increases the property values. I agree with your point, that's total speculation. But if it did, I too would like to split my 4 properties into 50% lots and sell 8 lots rather than own 4. And then I would just like to say I've spent a significant amount of time and resources and money with architects to develop the pieces of properties that I own to be in compliance with the DROD, to not have to come back and ask for variances. If there was a true mistake somewhere, I understand, and I think accommodations could be made, and that's why this process exists. I'm not sure that's the case here, and I would just ask you that you look at that DROD as an advocate for the existing residents that already live here, and we not let this thing get out of control of how many times will we give variances out because we don't meet the standard. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. That was it. Anybody else?
That was the last one signed.
All right, we'll close the public hearing. Any discussion?
Do we want
Did the applicant have anything
Oh,
to
the applicant,
rebut?
do you have anything, you want to come back and rebut?
No, sir, I mean, I think everybody stated.
I just foretell the future or something. All right, thanks. So we'll close the public hearing. So any discussion?
I have a few questions. So if I build a row of 4 townhouses in this area, am I getting a permit for each of those 4 townhouses, even though they're all connected?
Yes.
So the same with the duplexes that were built, it's
Right. That's the
2
same with any duplex
permits.
anywhere in the
Okay.
city of Broken Arrow. You would get an address and a separate building permit for each one so they could be CO'd, have a certificate of occupancy issued for each unit. So that's not unique to the DROD.
They are viewed as a different dwelling.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? So go over it. I want you to just make sure everybody understands the difference between the way it is now with the DROD and what it would be if it was approved. And of course, we would be the recommended body to go before the city council, and you'd have to say the same thing over there. But just the difference between the two again.
Sure.
If it was
So
approved or denied.
as of right now, putting the driveway or the garage aside that may or may not be in conformance. Assuming this property is completely in conformance, which to my understanding it is, As of right now, there's no issue with it. It can be sold, but as a duplex, as one of the gentlemen stated. Ooh, that's scary. Okay. If we were to go forward with the PUD, that would allow the sale of the 2 units separately. If this development were to had come in and requested a lot split to do 2 single-family developments prior to the property being developed, staff would not have supported that because they wouldn't have met the minimum lot size for a single-family dwelling for each one. So that's a difference there. So in the PUD, it addresses that lot size. It addresses some frontage issues. Somebody brought up the utilities. I think the utilities are connected from different sides. We did have a preliminary TAC meeting, Technical Advisory Committee, with the utilities on a potential lot split, which kind of brought up that we would need to go through a PUD process to do this. I believe it was either AEP or ONG, maybe PSO. One of the utility companies did request a 10-foot easement along the west property line in order to provide utility service. But as far as water and sewer, to my knowledge, those are separated. Also, when the duplex building permit was issued, there was a firewall that was required between them, which is standard for duplex, which would also be required for single family attached. So that in itself is not an issue. I don't think the issue with the utility company has been worked out as far as the easement, but that would be between the property owners and the utility companies. Staff would not be able to support, if the PUD were approved, to support a lot split approval until that was worked out with the utility companies. So that's something that would need to come later. What were some of the other things you had questions about?
Well, so bottom line, I guess, is the way it was built is in accordance with the DROD.
Correct.
And everything's compliant except, I guess, the driveway, was it?
The garage setback.
The garage
is supposed to be
setback.
35 and labeled there as 31.5.
So we're not considering it as a non-compliant lot then?
Not at this point. We'd have to verify that that's incorrect, and that would be something that would need to go before the Board of Adjustment as a modification of the D. You could do it through a PUD, but the most appropriate course of action would be through the Board
So
of
by
Adjustment.
denying, if we were to deny it, by denying, we're not basically approving a non-compliant lot. I just want to make sure that.
If you were to deny
Deny it, recommend it to go to the Board of Adjustment.
this evening, the lot would remain as is.
Right.
If they wanted to address the garage setback, they could go forward to the Board of Adjustment to get a modification for that. But, I mean, yes, this PUD would also modify that driveway and fix that, if that's written in the PUD. But you're also, through this PUD, approving a whole lot of other modifications that don't, in staff's opinion, aren't necessary for the development of the property.
Well, we're changing the original intent by doing that too. I think.
Correct.
So, and I agree with maybe the precedents, even though it's all based on its own merit.
Oh,
but-
and on the point of precedent, this has not been approved before. We have had several developers come up and want to do this concept on 2 separate lots, and we have said no because it does not meet the criteria of the DROD. So this could very well set a precedent for that moving forward.
So there are no other duplexes that are split as in the DROD district?
Not legally that I'm aware of.
Okay.
And if it is denied, I don't know if it's going to be denied or not, but if it's denied, they can appeal it to the city council, right?
That is correct.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I guess we're ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to deny item 6H per staff recommendations.
I will second.
I have a motion, second, have a roll call vote.
A yes vote is to deny. Just
Correct.
it always gets weird.
Thank you for clarifying that, though.
Okay, Mindy Payne,
Yes.
Jonathan Townsend,
Yes.
Jaylee Klimpa,
Yes.
Jason Cohen,
Yes.
Robert Gornson.
Yes. All right, so you have that option to go to the city council, appeal to the city council, and do you have 14 or 15 days to do that?
It's 15 days, and you'll need to contact staff and have a formal written request to appeal to city council.
How would those that spoke in opposition tonight, how would they find out about that too?
You can call our office, so there would be no other public notice given. Most likely, If the applicant were to appeal, probably go to the July 15th. It's the only council meeting in July. But feel free to call our office and we will give you that date as soon as we have it available.
All right, thanks. So next item on the agenda is item number 7, appeals. We have none.
None.
Item number 8, general commission business.
We have none.
None. Item 9, remarks, inquiries, planning commission. I have something though. A while back, this is for some preliminary plats that came through before. I was looking at Timber Ridge and I was looking at Albany 40, and I don't know if they have maps to see it or drawings, but I see in Albany 40, which is right beside Timber Ridge, I see 2 stub streets, but I don't see those in Timber Ridge to match up. Is that intended to be that way?
If there are budding properties being platted at the same time, it's going to depend on which one gets platted first, and the
then the other
second
one
one's
has
going
to
to have
meet.
to match up.
Mhm.
We try to get those developers to talk to each other and coordinate that. So if that has happened, I'll take a look at it and we can reach out to those developers and have them coordinate it.
Yeah, see, Timber Ridge, I think, came in first.
Well, they'll have,
It's whoever gets their plat filed
Yeah,
first.
first.
But
gets the
Albany
choice.
40, I think we saw just recently, and matter of fact, you made comments about that, I think, Jason, about the dead ends at the stub streets, about the turnaround, I think. But anyway, the stub streets are going, like they're going into Timber Ridge. Timber Ridge has no stub streets there.
Yeah, we'll make sure that gets
Curb
addressed.
cuts.
I just wanted to say to the police officer, thank you for being here for us.
Yes, thank you.
Hope you weren't too bored. Anyway, yeah, if you could take a look at that, because I know it, I think the preliminary plan on Albany 40 came before us, so.
Yep.
Do y'all have anything?
Yeah, I just had, the, directory for planning. So, that's okay.
I keep forgetting.
Okay. I'll keep reminding.
Yeah, we'll ask at the next meeting.
You should have gotten an email from
Can you
me.
put me on the, when you click on the website, like, I'm not on there.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
you're
took
not?
we took all of your Broken Arrow emails off of the website
Oh.
since they don't actually come to you.
Well-
So we put on our general planning email, which comes to Mackenzie and I believe the other planning.
But I'm not even on, like,
Yeah.
my name's not even on.
Oh, they took up
and-
your names too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And there is
We can fix
one that
that.
I'm still the chair and, so just, yeah,
Well, we're all or nothing. Either you
Yeah.
get an email or you don't exist.
yeah, so.
They've
and then-
been busy. Cut the
I
staff
know,
some
I know,
slack.
To
they've been
make this
busy,
agenda for
but that's
y'all.
why we want the new
reminding
directory,
them.
because they've been busy and things have been changing and new people and new faces and all the good stuff.
Well, I have one more. I watched city council meeting and I watched a presentation on the update on zoning ordinance. Didn't give planning commission any credit, but that's okay. nor any blame.
That's because we don't
okay.
exist, or some of us
my
don't.
question-
I blame Rocky.
I wasn't sure exactly what
Figment of your
came out of that. So what is the status on that now?
Yeah.
When will we start seeing the new categories of zoning, the residential and stuff?
So council made a couple minor recommendations that we have to work through, but they also gave us direction to, on the July 15th city council meeting, we will have city council appoint 2 representatives from council to team up with a couple
Schools.
representatives, school board, to review the housing study and to see if there's any implications that the housing study may affect zoning and vice versa. And then we're gonna meet with the school. Obviously, the time is short here because school starts in session here pretty soon. We wanna have those meetings and discussions with them before school starts. And then based on that those conversations, we will get a recommendation on how to move forward. So I anticipate sometime in September, maybe October at the latest, that we would be bringing it forth to city council for adoption.
And I saw that, and I don't mean this in a bad way, and I hope they don't get upset, but it's good that schools are getting involved, because I know they get involved with tax and all that, but what are they gonna do? What are they gonna dictate to with meeting with that? I mean, I don't understand what they're gonna do exactly. Are they gonna be they're not gonna be a driving force on the development?
No, we just want their input because they are one of the major players here in our community.
Yeah, oh,
and,
yeah.
and so we want to make sure that they don't feel left out and that we get their, that we present the information to them and we get feedback from them as well.
Well, that's definitely a good way to get them involved,
Mhm.
knowing, you know. So that'll be both Union School District and Broken Arrow, I guess.
I don't know. I don't think we really defined it. That's a good point. We'll have to have that conversation.
Well, that's why you pay us the money you do.
Still waiting for my change.
Well, I would think that we'd get Union School District
No,
involved.
that's a good point.
So, yeah. I'm done.
Are you done?
Yeah, you have anything?
Really?
Mhm.
Like no more things?
Don't keep talking, I'll think of something else.
I'm done.
So I
go
did
ahead.
want to make a recommendation to adjourn.
Yay! I second.
Who was the second? That was really quick.
Me.
Okay.
And most second have roll call vote.
Who seconded?
Me.
Keep moving.
Okay, Mindy Payne,
Yes.
Jonathan Townsend,
Yes.
Jaylee Klimpa,
Yes.
Jason Cohen,
Yes.
Robert Goranson.
Yes, that was kind of a weak yes.
3 hours.
You're close to me. You better watch it. Miss Amanda, I did want to tell you, I admire your dress. I love it. And it looks great on you. Great colors.